Chapter 24:59. I will never accept such a thing. Umaran said, Teacher, I believe that there must be other ways to solve this problem. It must be possible. Gao Mingwei did not emphasize the impossibility of this matter. He knew that Umaran needed to calm down now. Maybe. If you need my help with this matter, I will go back with you and assist in your research. Umaran nodded emotionally. Thank you, teacher, for being willing to support us like this. Girl, you have to know that I am also a Huaxia person. I should do what I can for the country. Gao Mingwei said, no matter what kind of difficulties we face, all of us in Huaxia should face them together and resist them together. Then when will we leave for Yanjing? Umaran said, I think the chief must be very eager to see you. Yes, we haven't seen each other for a long time. Gao Mingwei said, this is indeed a rare opportunity for us. Because of the urgency of the matter, Umaran did not have time to waste. She decided to leave immediately. As for the 100-year tower, Han Zhan and Chen Feng would naturally find a way to deal with it after returning. Umaran only needed to focus on the antidote of the Ebola virus, and everything would be fine. Gao Mingwei simply packed his luggage and said goodbye to his grandson, Gao Shan. Then, he went directly with Umaran and the others. Takasuji watched their car leave completely, and then the corner of his mouth revealed a smile that no one could understand. Gao Shan came to the kitchen and began to cook simple dishes with simple ingredients. He put all the dishes into a food box. There was a lot, enough for at least 5 or 6 people to eat. His behavior was very strange. He walked to the storage room and pressed a switch. A door appeared in the storage room, and the stairs to the basement were inside the door. The basement was actually so hidden? Gao Shan came to the basement. An old man was sitting in the basement. The old man's hands and feet were tied with ropes. Although he could move a short distance, he was not 100% free. The old man turned his head. It was Gao Mingwei. You bastard, why aren't you dead yet? Gao Mingwei looked at his grandson in front of him and asked. Grandpa, it's been so many years and you still haven't forgiven me? Look, how much money have I helped you earn? Takasuji said, look at how strong my body is now. I'm not weak at all. Do you know that this is the effect of Chunhui soup and Xiang Wang's gallbladder? Gao Mingwei spat. This is called betraying your country for glory. You don't deserve to be a Huaxia. Grandpa, why can't you understand? Takasuji said, 5 years ago, when you left the Dragon Brigade, you were already targeted by the Dongying people. They've been watching you all the way to your home. They found someone who looked so similar to you and used so many years to imitate you. They've already learned to the point where even I can't tell who is who. Gao Mingwei said, bastard, you imprisoned your grandpa in this place and called a Dongying person your grandpa every day. Humph, aren't you afraid of going to hell in the future? Grandpa, I was born in our Gao family, which is a scientific family. I've been an atheist since I was young. Takasuji said, do you think I'll be afraid if you say that? Gao Mingwei closed his eyes and didn't want to say another word to this bastard. Why didn't that bastard come down today? Are you talking about Mr. Gao Mingwei? Hey. Takasuji smiled. Because his plan finally succeeded today. He can be completely sure that the 3 young people who came to find him this time are all from the Dragon Brigade. And one of them is your student, Umaran. Gao Mingwei's eyes that had just closed suddenly opened. He looked at Takasuji in disbelief. What did you say? I said, Mr. Gao Mingwei has already gone to Yanjing with his student Umaran and 2 young people from the Dragon Brigade. Takasuji said, do you know how many days and nights he has been waiting for this day? Gao Mingwei was completely enraged when he heard this. He strode towards Takasuji, but he was restrained by the ropes that bound his hands and feet. His range of activity was only 5 meters in diameter, and it was all around the bed. Grandpa, don't be so agitated, it's not good for your health. Takasuji said, now that he has gone to Yanjing, it means that his students haven't noticed anything wrong with him. You're already useless, he doesn't need to imitate you anymore, and he doesn't need to watch you do simple disguises and makeup. Gao Mingwei said angrily, "Then kill me. Grandpa, if I kill you, it'll be treason." Takasuji said, "Humph. If it weren't for the crime of treason and the fact that I'm afraid of being punished by the heavens, do you think I wouldn't kill you? I'll tell you the truth, Grandpa, I've really wanted to kill you for a long time. Because I've been serving you for so many years, but your temper towards me is getting worse and worse. I'm also a person with a temper, I'm also a person with character." "You're a bastard," Gao Mingwei said. "I really don't know what kind of sin my son has committed to give birth to a bastard like you." "Don't talk about the dead," Takasuji said. "When my parents died, you only cared about your research and didn't care about them at all. Isn't that right?" Gao Mingwei closed his eyes tightly, and 2 streams of tears flowed out. Why does God treat me like this?" "Because you're a good person," Takasuji said. "Because God cares about you, so he gave you such a filial grandson, who has been serving you until now." Gao Mingwei stared at his grandson with wide eyes. "Kill me, let me die a little faster." "How can I do that?" Gao Mingwei said, "Grandpa, I also made your favorite beans for you. These dishes should be enough for you to eat for 3 days, right? I have to go out for a few days. The Banyan Tower has been smashed. I have to help the boss find a place to hide. I'm still waiting for things to calm down and continue to eat my favorite chunhui soup." Other than pain, Gao Mingwei was only left with pain. He didn't know what kind of sin he had committed. Why did he have such a grandson? "You're really a madman," Gao Mingwei said. "Sean, you're really not my grandson anymore. Really not. You should have known this long ago. After my parents died. I'm not your grandson anymore. Your grandson is your research. It's not me at all." Takasuji scolded. "Let me tell you. From today onwards, I won't pretend to be a grandson in front of you anymore. I gave you a mouthful of food because I have a use for you. When the day comes when you're no longer useful, I'll kill you with my own hands. Remember this." Gao Mingwei never thought that his actions would actually cause his grandson to become like this today. "Then get out. Get out as far as you can," Gao Mingwei said. Even at the last moment, he still hoped that his grandson could live on. This might be the last thought of a grandfather. "Don't look at me like that. I'm going to have fun. I won't die so young," Takasuji said. "Don't worry. I'll send you off." After Takasuji finished speaking, he left angrily. He didn't want to see his grandfather for even a minute. Gao Mingwei closed his eyes and was heartbroken. He really didn't know what kind of sin he had committed in his life. Go as far as you can." This was what Gao Mingwei wanted to say the most at the moment, but he knew that no matter how far he went, he would be brought to justice sooner or later. Anyone who committed any sin would have to pay the price for everything sooner or later. The heavy sound of the door closing once again locked Gao Mingwei in the basement. He wanted to go on a hunger strike many times, but he gave up every time because he couldn't bear to let go of his grandson. This time, should he really give up? Chapter 2460. Han Zhan and Qian Feng took turns driving the entire way, rushing to Beijing without stopping. Other than refueling, eating, and going to the bathroom, the car did not stop at all. In the car, Yu Meiren gave Gao Mingwei a detailed analysis of the Ebola virus components and proportion distribution. Gao Mingwei made a detailed record and then carried out a complicated analysis. As for what Gao Mingwei and Yu Meiren said, Han Zhan and Qian Feng did not understand at all. Although they were very well-rounded talents, the two of them had a certain understanding of chemistry and science. Even so, the two of them were completely confused by some of the professional terms that Yu Meiren and Gao Mingwei said. In this day and age, knowledge was endless. Although we now have a preliminary understanding of the Ebola virus, if we can't carry out a real experiment, we still can't figure everything out. Gao Mingwei sighed. Yu Meiren was silent. This was probably the most difficult time for her. If she had to use people as test subjects, how cruel would that be? Gao Mingwei said, "Sometimes, science needs to be sacrificed. If no one makes the sacrifice, we can't solve the real problem and trouble. But anyone has the right to not accept it. This is really too cruel. Yu Meiren shook her head. She did not even dare to think about such a thing. How painful it would be. Once the people who accepted the experiment failed, they would become like that, a walking corpse. That kind of cruelty was really unbearable. But if someone can volunteer, it's because of their greatness. It's because they are willing to sacrifice for human science. Gao Mingwei said, I believe that if those death row prisoners were given a chance, as long as they were willing to sacrifice themselves, they would be willing to sacrifice themselves if they were given a sum of money. Yu Meiren shook her head. No, that's not voluntary at all. They are doing it for the benefit, to be able to earn a sum of money for their families in the end. It's not voluntary. It's temptation. This is no different from coercion. Girl, you really shouldn't think like that. Gao Mingwei said, You're already a death row prisoner. Since you're going to die, why don't you use your last breath to show up for science? Moreover, if the experiment was successful, they would be exempted from the death penalty and be given a chance to be reborn. Was this still considered a lure? This is equivalent to giving them a chance, and they will rush to do it voluntarily. That's not normal at all, Yu Meiren insisted. Gao Mingwei said, This is science. Any sacrifice for science is worth it. This concerns the interests of the entire human race. I don't know if that should be the case. I don't know what to do. Yu Meiren shook her head. Let's wait until we go back and ask the chief. I know you don't have the heart to experiment on people, but I can help you solve all of this. Gao Mingwei said, I'm your teacher. If you can't do it yourself, I'll do it for you. I can help you solve it. Yu Meiren closed her eyes. No matter who did this, it was cruel to her. Sometimes, in our profession, we can't be soft-hearted. Gao Mingwei said, Think about it. If we can't get the vaccine to cure the Ebola virus, what would it mean if the Ebola virus really broke out on Earth one day? It would mean that no one can save the world. Yes, if that day really came, how would this matter be solved? When that time comes, even if someone wants to volunteer themselves, I'm afraid they won't have the chance, Gao Mingwei said. Teacher Gao, I want to be alone. Yu Meiren said, I'm really messed up now, really messed up. Gao Mingwei nodded. Then you should have a good rest. The car drove for more than 10 hours on the road, and finally arrived at Yanjing from Xiaotan town. Wan Guangxiao, who knew that Gao Mingwei was coming, was already prepared to receive him. He was very happy to see an old friend who he hadn't seen for a long time. Old Gao, you've really been cultivating your mind these years. Wan Guangxiao said, You haven't come to see us, your old friends, for so many years. Wang Yi also smiled. It looks like you're even younger than before. Old Gao, how do you take care of yourself? Gao Mingwei smiled. The two of you are the same. You're getting younger and younger. Ha ha, long time no see. I miss you. Today, I'm going to get at least a box of Yanjing Erguotu. I'm not going home until I'm drunk. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect you to like this. Wang Yi said, Don't worry, I've already prepared it for you. It's your favorite 56 degrees. This degree is the best. It's not high or low. It's just right. Gao Mingwei said, Is the Yanjing roast duck ready? Wan Guangxiao said, If there's wine, of course there's wine and food. Not only roast duck, but there's also hot pot mutton. There's also your favorite pies and charcuterie. Everything has been prepared for you. I'm just waiting for you to come and have a big meal. Ha ha ha, Wan, oh Wan, I know you're still the best to me. Gao Mingwei said, I'm really hungry. Okay, I'll ask someone to take you to the room to put down your things and change into comfortable clothes. We'll go to the cafeteria for a good drink, Wan Guangxiao said. Gao Mingwei nodded and went back to the room with the others. Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi looked at each other. Both of them felt something was wrong, but they couldn't tell what was going on. I always feel that it's a little. Wang Yi wanted to say something but stopped. A strange sense of familiarity, Wan Guangxiao said. Ha ha ha, Maybe it's really because we haven't seen each other for many years. I don't know what he has been doing all these years, but one thing is for sure. He likes food more. Wang Yi nodded. Yeah, he used to have a unique love for food, but he wouldn't talk about it. I also feel that he's become a little more unfamiliar, Wan Guangxiao said. It's an indescribable feeling. Wang Yi said, it looks like we should really show more concern for our old friend. Yeah, maybe after we drink and chat later, we'll be able to get back all the familiarity we once had. While Gao Mingwei was in the room, Yu Meiren was not in a hurry to leave. She quickly reported the important matter to the chief and told the two of them about Gao Mingwei's human experiments. Wan Guangxiao frowned. This was a rather inhumane idea. If it wasn't for the fact that Gao Mingwei had said it, and that it was about the Ebola virus, Wan Guangxiao would definitely have treated this person as a dangerous person and put him under control. This was a very scary idea. At least, Wan Guangxiao did not dare to believe such a thing. Wang Yi also expressed considerable shock at this proposal. This was not something to joke about. Even if they wanted to use prisoners on death row as test subjects, it was still a kind of disrespect to humans. This sounds like something that only those bastards from Japan 731 would do, Wang Yi said. This is really not something to consider. Wan Guangxiao nodded. Yeah, we'll ask him later if there are any other methods other than this. Teacher Gao said there aren't any. Yu Meiren said, he said that only experiments on humans can be more certain, because this is the Ebola virus. It's very dangerous and terrifying. Even the slightest detail can determine success or failure. Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi were silent. These words were said by the most authoritative virus expert in the country. It indeed made people very cautious. No matter what, we can't do this. We need to be more cautious, Wan Guangxiao said. We need to look for opportunities in the impossible. Only then will we have a chance. I also believe that this is not the only way, Wang Yi said. Using humans for experiments is absolutely impossible. Yu Meiren nodded. I support the chief's decision. We will definitely think of a better way. After Yu Meiren left, Wan Guangxiao's face was full of doubts. Old Gao is a human rights activist. How could he say something like that? I really can't believe it. Wang Yi nodded. That's right. I'm starting to wonder if old Gao is still the old Gao from before. We really need to ask him in detail later. Wan Guangxiao nodded. But we have to be careful. Don't let him feel our doubts. I understand, Wang Yi said. Chapter 2461. Gao Mingwei put his belongings back in his room and changed into the clothes that the army had prepared for him. Then, he quickly came out to meet up with Wan Guangxiao. When old friends met, they were especially affectionate. Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi took Gao Mingwei to a single room in the cafeteria and told everyone not to disturb them. Then, they closed the door and began to drink. After 3 rounds of wine and a variety of dishes, the 3 of them were also in high spirits. Gao Mingwei told the 2 of them about the results of his self-cultivation over the years, how to take care of himself and how to prevent aging. However, Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi's minds were not on those things. Those things were not important to them. They used their own methods to cultivate their self-cultivation every day. Old Gao, tell me the truth. How likely is it to crack the Ebola virus this time? Wan Guangxiao took the initiative to cut into the topic. Gao Mingwei was stunned for a moment. Then, he smiled and said, You've asked the right person. In Huaxia, I'm afraid that no one else has a solution except for me. Old Gao, don't keep us in suspense. This matter is of great importance. As long as you can solve it, no matter what kind of conditions you put forward, I can satisfy you. Wan Guangxiao said, You can tell me whatever you want. I'll arrange the best laboratory and the best assistant for you. Wang Yi also added, We can arrange all the logistical support work you need. Gao Mingwei picked up his glass alone and drank more than half of it in one gulp. I've already told you, Meiren, what I need. What I need is people. I need people who are willing to sacrifice themselves and be willing to participate in the experiment. If no one stands up to solve this problem, everything will not be so perfect. Wan Guangxiao was silent. Wang Yi did not speak either. They were very shocked that a human rights activist would say such things. I know that you may feel that it's hard to understand, Gao Mingwei said, but I have no other choice. Please believe me. If I had any other choice, I would not have made such a decision. Wan Guangxiao nodded in understanding. I know how you feel. Wan, what I need are people. I believe you have the power to solve this problem. There are so many prisoners on death row in Huaxia. No matter what, they have to die anyway. Why don't you let them accept it? This is their chance to change their fate, Gao Mingwei said. Wang Yi interrupted. Is this a chance to change fate? They're handing their fates to the unknown. No, that's where you're wrong. Their fate is death, so what's the point? Gao Mingwei's expression was very serious. I'm not joking. This is definitely a chance for someone who was originally on death row to become a hero. But what if it doesn't succeed? Wan Guangxiao asked. What will they have to endure? Yes, I admit that for the sake of science, there must be risks. It won't succeed just because it succeeds. That's unrealistic. Gao Mingwei said, that's why we need to experiment. That's why we need people to stand up. Wan Guangxiao shook his head. Can't we use other live experiments to complete it? Wan, you're not an unreasonable person. If you think that using other lives to experiment is noble, that's not right. Gao Mingwei said, all things are equal. For the sake of the advancement of science, many live animals will be used for experiments. For the sake of science, this is noble and not cruel. So it's the same for people. Why can't people stand up and sacrifice themselves? Should mice and monkeys be sacrificed? I'm not saying that they should be sacrificed. It's just, as a human rights activist, why do you have such thoughts? Wan Guangxiao said, haven't you always been against the organizations and mad scientists in the world who use living people for experiments? Why did you suddenly become such a person? Gao Mingwei was stunned. Wang Yi also said, yes, you suddenly support human experiments. This is something we really can't believe. People change. Gao Mingwei said, moreover, this matter is of great importance. Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi both fell silent. This matter was of great importance, and this sentence was quite heavy. Thinking about it from another perspective, it was indeed so. If the Ebola virus vaccine could only be tested on humans, the experimental subjects would indeed be doing a great thing. However, in the face of this situation, Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi could not make a decision. This was because they knew too well what kind of behavior this was. This kind of behavior was no different from what Japan's Unit 731 did in the past. It was not done by humans at all. Old Gao, you've just arrived in Beijing. Don't think so much. Take it slow. Maybe there will be a breakthrough. Wan Guangxiao raised his wine glass and said. He first had to calm Gao Mingwei down. I will try my best to fulfill your request. You also know that this is not a joke. I also need to apply. I understand what you mean. Gao Mingwei said, I can wait, but I have to say that this needs to be done as soon as possible. Wan Guangxiao nodded. I know. Come, let's drink first. Let's not talk about those troublesome things today. The drinking went on until 10 p.m. After Gao Mingwei was sent back, Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi did not leave. You're not really going to apply, are you? Wang Yi said to Wan Guangxiao, this is an act against humanity. Of course I won't do that. Wan Guangxiao said, even if it's a death row criminal, his punishment should be handed over to the law. It's too horrible to hand over to such a terrible experiment. Wang Yi took a deep breath. There are many death row criminals who deserve to die. The mistakes they made are also cruel, but we still can't treat them so cruelly. Yes. Wan Guangxiao said, perhaps only a mad scientist would have such a horrible idea. Wang Yi shook his head. I keep feeling that something is wrong. I feel the same way as you. Wan Guangxiao said, although no matter how you look at it, Gao Mingwei is still Gao Mingwei, but he still gives me a feeling. It's another person wearing Gao Mingwei's appearance. Wang Yi said. Wan Guangxiao nodded. Yes, he does give me that feeling. I think we really need to investigate this matter. Wang Yi said, it's not that I don't believe him, but the feeling he gives me really makes me feel uncomfortable. We can't let the people in the team do this. It will arouse suspicion. Wan Guangxiao said, if Gao Mingwei really has a problem, he will notice it. Wang Yi nodded. Then we can only let Su Yun do it. You should call him about this. I'm already embarrassed to let him do it. Wan Guangxiao said, I wanted to give him some time to experience the life of a CEO, but I didn't expect to always find trouble for him. Wang Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head. Then let me be the bad guy this time. Wan Guangxiao looked up at the distant sky. You say, if Gao Mingwei has a problem, what kind of problem could it be? I really can't figure it out. If there's a problem, it's definitely a big problem. Wang Yi said, if we can figure it out now, it's definitely not a big problem. It's really been a long time since I had such a headache. Wan Guangxiao said, I'm old. Wang Yi said, I think you still need to give an order. Find a reason to transfer Yu Maren away and let her do something else. If Gao Mingwei has a problem, Yu Maren will definitely be in danger by his side. Wan Guangxiao was startled. He won't be crazy enough to use the people around him for experiments, right? That's hard to say. There are many scientific lunatics in the world. Ordinary people don't know, but you and I know. Every year, there are many scientific lunatics who are secretly executed around the world. I'm afraid we can't even count them. Wang Yi said, they have already gone crazy for science. It's not normal at all. I also know the horror of such people. Wan Guangxiao said, then I'll transfer Yu Meiren to another department tomorrow to do something for a few days. Arrange for 2 more spirited people to watch over old Gao. Wang Yi nodded. The Dragon Fury team won't take on any other tasks during this time. They'll mainly be responsible for watching over him. Isn't this a bit like using a cannon to kill a mosquito? Wan Guangxiao was startled. Letting the Dragon Fury team watch over him alone? Maybe it's a bit overkill. Wang Yi said, but I think it's safer and more reassuring this way. Any scientific lunatic is a high-risk person. Okay. Wan Guangxiao nodded. You make the arrangements. Chapter 2462. Su Yun's life during this period of time could be said to be quite relaxed and carefree. After work, he could even go to the bar to drink, go to the tea house to taste the tea, entertain some necessary social activities, and meet some necessary people. To be honest, he was indeed indulging in pleasure. In such a state of life and work, who would want to take on a suffocating task? Dear, you better think carefully. Today, we are here to make friends. This was a sissy. Although his personality gave Su Yun a headache, he was a famous stylist. Su Yun was here today to invite him to the Sky Entertainment Group to be the exclusive stylist for the celebrities under their management. The conditions had already been negotiated. Now, he was just waiting for Su Yun to say the word. If they were friends, he would come here to work. If it was only work, he might consider other factors. It couldn't be helped. Famous, high-end stylists in the fashion industry had personality. If they didn't have personality, they wouldn't be able to become a real top stylist. After all, people in this industry needed to have their own thoughts. Only a person with his own thoughts could achieve everything. Of course. Today, I am also here to make friends. If I wasn't here to make friends, I wouldn't have come. Su Yun smiled. The sissy was very satisfied with Su Yun's answer. With President Su's words, I will come to Sky Entertainment Group to work tomorrow. From now on, I am a member of Sky Entertainment Group. Even if I die, I will be a ghost of Sky Entertainment Group. Come. Let's drink. Let's celebrate our great stylist joining Sky Entertainment Group. Let's have a toast. Bai Xiaoye took the lead to drink. She stood up and gestured. Then, she poured the entire glass of imported wine. 10 p.m. was the busiest time in the bar. It was also the time when people were the easiest to persuade people to drink. Su Yun clinked glasses with the sissy and drank. Then, he felt his phone vibrate. Seeing that it was Wang Yi, Su Yun immediately stood up. "Excuse me, everyone. I have to take a call." After walking out of the bar, Su Yun's ears finally relaxed. He picked up the phone. "Master, you miss me again? What are you doing? Why did you take so long to pick up the phone? Are you indulging in debauchery?" Wang Yi said, "Is it because the outside world is so exciting that you don't want to waste time answering the phone?" "You guessed it right. I'm really indulging in wine and women." "Su Yun, what can I do for you?" Wang Yi said, "You should stop indulging in debauchery. There's something I want you to investigate." "Okay, go ahead." Su Yun nodded seriously. When he had nothing to do, he could play as he pleased. When he let loose, it didn't matter how he played. But when there was something to do, he would definitely not be joking around. Wang Yi said, after Han Zhan and Qian Feng picked up Yumerin, they went to Shouten Town. "What? He hasn't gone back yet?" Su Yun. "Then is it so difficult to invite Mr. Gao?" "It's quite difficult, but now he's here," Wang Yi said. "Since he's gone, what else do you need me to do?" Su Yun was startled. "Do I have to go back to cooperate?" Wang Yi shook his head. "We invited him back, but we feel that something is wrong. We can't tell what it is. I think if you have time, go to Shouten Town to take a look and ask around. Maybe you'll know something." "What's wrong?" "Su Yun, did you find the wrong person?" "Impossible. Yumerin wouldn't be wrong. Isn't Mr. Gao also an old friend of the chief?" "There's no mistake." Wang Yi said, "It's just that I feel like he's become a different person. His personality is different from before. That's why I want you to investigate and see if something happened that caused his personality to change." Su Yun understood and nodded. "Or is it that there's something wrong with him? His personality is different. Can you be sure that it's the same person?" "I'm afraid there's no mistake." When Wang Yi said this, he suddenly lost confidence. "That's not necessarily true. Su Yun, his personality is different. I think you should be more careful. It's best to let people keep an eye on him." "Don't worry. I've already let the little brats from Dragon's Fury take turns to keep an eye on him." Wang Yi said, "I'll leave the Shouten Town matter to you." Su Yun nodded. "Okay, don't worry. I'll think of a way to settle it. You must be careful. If you feel that he's in danger, it's best to let Yumerin leave. She's too naive. She doesn't know how to deal with some things. She's not scheming at all. We've already thought about this. Tomorrow, we'll arrange for her to go to the capital hospital to participate in an academic exchange." Wang Yi said, "This will keep her away from danger. I'll also arrange for other people to protect her." "That's good." "Su Yun, then I'll go to Shouten Town as soon as possible." Wang Yi smiled. "Thank you for your hard work. I'll send the details to your phone." "Understood." Su Yun. After hanging up the call with Wang Yi, Su Yun returned to the bar. The sissy seemed to have been waiting for a long time. He pretended to be angry and said, "CEO Su, we've all drunk a few glasses. Shouldn't you punish yourself with 3 glasses? Sorry, I didn't accompany you well." Su Yun. "It's all my fault. Come, drink this glass first." The sissy had already brought the glass to Su Yun. Su Yun didn't refuse and drank it directly. "Xiaoye, I have something very important to do tomorrow. I'll leave you to take care of our stylist." "Okay, don't worry." Although Bai Xiaoye agreed easily, he was very curious about what Su Yun was going to do. Because there were so many people present, it wasn't convenient for him to ask. He could only suppress his curiosity. "Our stylist won't mind, right?" Su Yun laughed. The sissy waved his hand and said, "How is that possible? Mr. Su, you're so busy every day. I understand. Don't worry. Since I've agreed to work for Sky Entertainment, I'll work for Sky Entertainment wholeheartedly. I'll work wholeheartedly for Mr. Su. Brother, don't worry." Bai Xiaoye said, "I believe our stylist will make all the artists' eyes light up." The drinking party lasted until 1 o'clock in the morning. Su Yun and Lin Guo were really sleepy. As for the stylist, he was already drunk. After everything quieted down, Bai Xiaoye asked, "Brother, where are you going tomorrow? Do you need my help?" "No need. Su Yun, I'm going to Shao Tan Town to take care of some small things. Keep an eye on the company's affairs. Oh right, there's one more thing. Since I'm leaving, I should tell you." Bai Xiaoye was startled. "What is it?" "Little Mom asked me to arrange for a friend's daughter to enter this circle." "Su Yun, I gave her a choice. She wants to experience life in the circle of extras. She's currently living in the extras gathering place. Brother Lei arranged it for her." Bai Xiaoye exclaimed, "You're really tight-lipped. If it wasn't urgent, you wouldn't have told me, right? She wants to make a name for herself, so I don't think there's a need to inform you. Su Yun, I'm not telling you to take care of her or anything. I just want you to keep an eye on her and not let her get involved in the unspoken rules. This circle is too messy after all." "Who is it? What's her name?" Bai Xiaoye asked. "Zhang Zixue," Su Yun said. Bai Xiaoye was shocked again. "Her? No way. I heard that something happened to her family. Why is she still in the mood to enter the entertainment circle?" "You know about her family?" Su Yun was stunned. "Do you know her?" Bai Xiaoye nodded. "Sort of. We've had dinner together twice, but we're not familiar with each other." "Then what does her family do?" Su Yun was curious. "It's a long story," Bai Xiaoye said. "I'll tell you when I come back." "Su Yun, to be honest, I'm very curious about her family." Bai Xiaoye smiled. "Why? It's not because she's pretty, right?" "Brother, can you not be so fickle? You just said not to let her get involved in the unspoken rules, and now you're interested? Don't make fun of me. Su Yun, I don't have the time to do those things. I'll leave her to you. Watch her carefully. Don't let anything happen to her. Otherwise, I won't be able to answer to Little Mom." Bai Xiaoye rolled her eyes at Su Yun. "Don't use my mom to pressure me. I won't fall for it. Also, you have to be careful when you go out." Chapter 2463. Zhang Zixue's life as an extra had only lasted for 2 days, but she was already on the verge of collapse. That kind of hard work was not something that people outside the circle could imagine. Originally, she thought that as someone who was chosen by the assistant director, she could have an easier time. Unexpectedly, this small role was difficult to perform, because she had to think about the lines in her mind when she was portraying a character. Many extras who didn't have lines envied the roles with lines, but Zhang Zixue was almost driven crazy by these lines. Perhaps because of her good image, Zhang Zixue was highly regarded by the director after the first day of shooting. The next day, she was directly given an extra role. She was changed from a war doctor to a doctor who was transferred to the rear hospital with the troops. The biggest change was that she was given a lot of lines, which directly squeezed out the role of the original character. However, after all, it was Zhang Zixue's first time as an actress, so memorizing the lines was very difficult, and she always made some small mistakes. This led to the director constantly shouting, "Cut!" But the director had nowhere to vent his anger. After all, she was the person who was chosen by him, but the result made him so disappointed. Fortunately, in the end, Zhang Zixue still passed a few scenes, which calmed the director's anger. The assistant director who brought her here also breathed a sigh of relief. However, because of this role, Zhang Zixue got into the second trouble when she came to Qingdao. Because of her, the original role of a small special agent was directly removed. To put it in a small way, it took away the other person's income. To put it in a big way, it directly took away the other person's opportunity to appear in the screen. Therefore, this kind of thing was quite difficult for people to accept. This caused Jiang Zixue to get into big trouble. The small special agent who had been replaced by her directly came to her door with a few men. It seemed that they wanted to ask Jiang Zixue for an explanation. Jiang Zixue was stopped on the way back to the rented house after eating. Facing the sudden appearance of so many people, Jiang Zixue quickly realized that there was trouble. "What's the matter?" Jiang Zixue said, "Did you recognize the wrong person?" "How can I recognize the wrong person? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been directly removed. Do you know that the doctor in the rear hospital was originally my role?" The woman in the front looked at Jiang Zixue angrily. "It's all because of you." "I'm sorry." Jiang Zixue said, "I don't know at all. I'm just following the director's instructions. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, you can go to the director." When the woman heard this, she became even angrier. Look for the director? How could an extra of her caliber look for a director? How would the director know what she was? Despicable. The man next to the woman said, "I think you slept with the director just because you have some good looks." "Humph, how else could he have gotten the role? One look and I can tell that he's a shameless person." Jiang Zixue was really unhappy when she heard that. "You'd better be more polite when you speak. Spouting nonsense is slander against people. It's a crime." "So what? My mouth is on my body. What can you do about what I say?" The man said disapprovingly, "I think you're a slutty woman. What can you do to me?" "Shut your dog mouth. You don't have the ability and you're blaming others." Jiang Zixue said, "People like you will never be successful." The woman was furious when she heard that. "Why are you still talking nonsense with her? Beat her up. Ruin her face for me. Let's see how she can seduce men in the future." These people were really ruthless. They wanted to go all out as soon as they saw her. As soon as the woman finished speaking, a man behind her took out a glass bottle. The liquid inside was terrifying just by imagining it. Jiang Zixue's mind went blank. Could it be sulfuric acid? If it was sulfuric acid, then she was really finished. Completely finished. How could a disfigured person dream of being a celebrity? It was already a blessing from the heavens to be able to live like a normal person. Jiang Zixue didn't dare to continue thinking about it. It was too scary. It was really too scary. What should she do? With so many people surrounding her, how could she possibly escape from their encirclement? Crazy. Jiang Zixue couldn't believe that she had met such an extreme person. She didn't care about the consequences and wanted to do such a thing. "What are you all doing?" Suddenly, a shout was heard. Everyone turned around and saw that it was Bai Xiaoye. Bai Xiaoye's sudden appearance caught everyone off guard. Although Bai Xiaoye was only the person in charge of the movie hotel, she was also Su Yun's sister. There were only so many people in the Qingdao film and television base. If they couldn't even recognize the Su family, then they would have wasted their time. Therefore, Bai Xiaoye's appearance was very shocking. It's President Bai. Hello, President Bai. We're just discussing how to portray the characters." After the commotion, Bai Xiaoye pointed at the public surveillance camera. "See that? Every place can be recorded. Filming in the Qingdao film and television base has to follow the rules here." Everyone nodded. "Everything here will be recorded, so if you commit a crime here, it will definitely be found out," Bai Xiaoye said. "What do you want to do? What's in that glass bottle?" "Nothing." Bai Xiaoye snorted. "Nothing. Why do I feel like something is wrong? Let me tell you, don't do things that hurt others because of jealousy. You'll only live in guilt for the rest of your life." Everyone was stunned. "Is it sulfuric acid or not?" Bai Xiaoye asked. "What do you want to do?" Jiang Zixue saw that they were helping her and quickly stood beside Bai Xiaoye. "Yes, if it was sulfuric acid, it would be terrible." No, this is just plain water. It's just to scare her." Finally, someone said, We we didn't do it on purpose. We're just angry that she stole our show. Bai Xiaoye said, there are too many people here who steal the limelight every day. If everyone has this kind of jealousy, then the order will be completely destroyed. I advise you to learn how to be a good person before you start filming. If you can't even be a good person, how can you portray a good character? Under Bai Xiaoye's lecture, everyone lowered their heads. Perhaps this was really a vivid lesson for them. Bai Xiaoye was right. If they couldn't even be a good person, how could they talk about acting? I won't pursue today's matter. I'll pretend that nothing happened, Bai Xiaoye said. But if I see you again in the future, I'm afraid you won't be so lucky. Thank you, Director Bai. Bai Xiaoye shook her head helplessly. I'm not a good-tempered person, but compared to others, at least I won't make you look bad. You can imagine what would happen to you if Chairman Su and Shirley were to find out about this. Everyone couldn't help but shiver. Director Su's strict management of the Qingdao film base was obvious to all, and they didn't dare to touch Shirley's prestige here. Go away. I don't want to see you now. Bai Xiaoye waved her hand, and the people immediately dispersed. Zhang Zishue looked at Bai Xiaoye and heaved a sigh of relief. She patted her chest and said, Thank you. How should I address you? Bai Xiaoye was startled. It seemed that Zhang Zishue was still in a state of amnesia. She didn't know when she would completely recover. My name is Bai Xiaoye, the person in charge of Sky Entertainment Hotel, Bai Xiaoye said. You're new here, right? Be careful when you're here in the future. Try not to be alone. Although the management here is strict, the staff is messy. Don't have the heart to harm others, but don't let your guard down. Zhang Zishue nodded. I understand. Thank you, Director Bai. But why are you here? Bai Xiaoye casually made up an excuse. I'm just here to take a look. Director Su is going on a business trip for a few days, so he asked me to help him. Director Su is going on a business trip? Why didn't he tell me? Zhang Zishue suddenly realized that she had let it slip. She quickly waved her hand and said, No, I didn't mean that. I mean, why didn't I hear about it? Bai Xiaoye was speechless and shook her head helplessly. Zhang Zishue said, That's right. I'm just a small extra. How could I know so much? Disappointment flashed across Zhang Zishue's face as she spoke. Chapter 2464. You're new here, so there must be a lot of things you don't know, Bai Xiaoye said. Bai Xiaoye said, I'm in a good mood today. Remember my number. Call me if you have any questions. Zhang Zishue jumped in fright and said in surprise, really can? Of course, Bai Xiaoye said. But if I'm busy, I might not have time to answer the phone. But if I can help you, I'll definitely help you. You're such a good person. You're the best person I've ever met in my life. Zhang Zishue said, I really don't know what to say. How about this? There's a fresh milk bar over there. I'll treat you to fresh milk ice cream. The place where the extras gathered didn't have any expensive places. The most luxurious place was a small fresh milk bar. A fresh milk ice cream cost 5 yuan, which was very extravagant for many of the extras. Bai Xiaoye was stunned. This lady who used to only eat dishes from 5-star hotels was now asking to treat someone to ice cream at a small fresh milk bar? Häagen-Dazs was nothing. Zhang Zishue grew up eating Bessel ice cream. Fresh milk bars ice cream? 5 yuan for a large cup of ice cream? Hee. Bai Xiaoye couldn't believe it. Okay, if you want to treat me, I have no objections. You won't think it's beneath your status, right? After all, it's just a cup of ordinary ice cream, Zhang Zhe said. I'm worried that you won't like it, but it's the only ice cream in this place. Bai Xiaoye smiled. Then, can you get used to it? I was very tired after filming yesterday, so I asked for a cup when I came back, Zhang Zishue said. It's not very good, but it's okay. But compared to the better ice cream, it's still tasteless. Bai Xiaoye nodded. If you can get used to it, then I can get used to it. Then let's go. Jiang Zishue said. It's my treat. Although it was just a simple ice cream, Jiang Zishue ate it happily, because she had made a new friend on Qingdao. Although Bai Xiaoye was the person in charge of Sky Entertainment Hotel, she didn't put on any airs at all. This made Jiang Zishue very comfortable. She liked the feeling of being with Bai Xiaoye. In fact, Bai Xiaoye really wanted to tell her that they were friends. Jiang Zishue's memory hadn't completely disappeared, but she had only lost a part of it. This was definitely a world-class disease, and even the most authoritative psychiatrist wouldn't be able to find the reason. It could be said that this kind of partial amnesia was harder to cure than complete amnesia. After finishing the ice cream, Bai Xiaoye left, leaving Jiang Zishue alone again. This feeling was actually very uncomfortable, but she felt that this was a very important life experience for her. If she didn't have this kind of life experience, she would never understand the feeling of loneliness so thoroughly. Whether it was for her personally or for her future career, it was a kind of wealth. If she really wanted to become an actress in the future, this wealth would be even more precious. The more experience a person had, the more they would be able to play different roles. This was an eternal truth. Only those who had experienced the feeling of loneliness would know the feeling of loneliness. Only those who had experienced the feeling of heartache would know the feeling of being torn apart. Su Yun drove to Xiaotan town. This town with less than 100,000 people was very clean. There was almost no dirt on the road. Although it couldn't be said to be spotless, it could be said that it was very rare. Especially in Huaxia, it was really rare to see such a clean town. There was one thing that all Huaxia people couldn't deny. Everyone had a group of people who didn't take the environment seriously. These people would casually throw food out of the car, and could also casually fling cigarette butts to their feet. If they accidentally threw something away, they wouldn't pick it up. This was because they didn't treat the outside environment as their living environment. Their homes might be very clean and tidy, and the clothes they wore were washed every day. Even the leather shoes on their feet were spotless. However, they had the bad habit of throwing things where they shouldn't be. Although the national public service advertisements had changed many people over the years, there were still countless people who would casually do some disgraceful things. Therefore, the streets of any city around us weren't spotless. There would always be some trash. There were also some pet owners who liked to bring their pets out to pee. They also took pride in their ability to raise their pets to let the fertile water flow to other people's fields. Therefore, a city like Xiaotan town where there was almost no dirt on the streets was definitely a strange existence for Huaxia people. Moreover, this city had beautiful mountains and clear waters. The air was so clean that people could relax and breathe. This made Su Yun a bit embarrassed to drive. It was a bit of a sin to leave such a large displacement car here. The first thing Su Yun did when he arrived at Xiaotan town was to find a hotel and book a room. Then, he inquired about the more famous restaurants here and walked alone. He arrived at a very clean-looking restaurant. The restaurant was very small, and there were only 1 or 2 specialties. However, the taste was surprisingly good. During the meal, Su Yun also heard a lot of local gossip. There were 2 people at the table next to him who were chatting happily. The middle-aged man with small eyes said mysteriously to his companion, "Have you heard? The Banyan Tower was smashed by someone." "Are you kidding? What kind of place is the Banyan Tower? How could it be smashed by someone?" The bald man said, "Don't listen to the nonsense outside. Who do you think dares to say such things?" Small Eyes said, "It was smashed by people outside. It was said that there were 2 men and a woman. The 2 men were like gods descending from heaven. Each of them could fight against 100 people. There were so many people in the Banyan Tower, but they couldn't take down these 2 people." The bald man widened his eyes. "Really? Why do I feel that it's so mysterious? I'm a fool if I lie to you." The 2 men and the woman spoke with a Beijing accent. "They should be from Yanjing." Small Eyes said, "It's said that this matter isn't over yet. Li He of the Banyan Tower wanted to settle this matter by dealing with the people who smashed his place. However, the person had already escaped. It's said that as soon as this person left, someone from Yenjing came to investigate his Banyan Tower. The bald man sighed. Stop fooling around. Is it that exaggerated? What do you mean by exaggerated? It's too exaggerated, Small Eyes said. Su Yun was a little surprised. The two men and the woman, could it be that they were talking about Yu Maren and the rest? He waved his hand and signaled the restaurant staff to add 2 more dishes and a case of beer for the table. Small Eyes and the bald man looked at Su Yun in confusion. They didn't understand why he was doing this. Making friends. Su Yun smiled. I also want to hear about this matter. What kind of place is the Banyan Tower? Bro, are you a tourist? The bald man said. You don't even know about the Banyan Tower? Hee hee. This is an incredible place. A place where people eat human flesh. Don't talk nonsense. Small Eyes glared at the bald man. They didn't know who the other party was. It was obviously too careless of them to say so much. Su Yun smiled and didn't mind Small Eyes' stinginess. Are you trying to scare me? I'm very timid. A place where people eat human flesh, really? Although Small Eyes didn't want to say too much, the bald man felt that if he didn't explain more clearly, it would be too unkind. You really don't believe me. The Banyan Tower only has things you can't imagine. There's nothing you can't eat. All right, did you drink too much? Small Eyes pushed the bald man hard and then said to Su Yun, he drank too much and is talking nonsense. Please don't mind him. Of course I don't mind, Su Yun said. It's nice to meet you guys. Drink slowly, I won't disturb you. Small Eyes heaved a sigh of relief. However, Su Yun suddenly said, but, can you tell me where the Banyan Tower is? I want to take a look and see it. I'll tell you. The bald man generously shared the address with Su Yun. Chapter 2465. The Baldy's generosity made Su Yun so happy that he added another box of beer for him. The Baldy explained the route to Su Yun in detail and even used his chopsticks to dip in tea to draw a simple diagram on the table. Su Yun basically understood the situation. After chatting with the two for a while, he left. Small Eyes looked at the Baldy in confusion and said, Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? You don't even know him. Who cares if he knows him or not? The Baldy said, Did you see that? 2 boxes of beer. We're not drinking. We'll return them to the restaurant owner later and save money for today's meal. Small Eyes really had nothing to say to such a shrewd companion. He really saved money for this meal. After Su Yun left the restaurant, he went back to the hotel where he was staying to rest for a while. He only got up in the evening and drove directly to the Banyan Tower. He didn't go directly to Gao Mingwei's house because of the Banyan Tower. Su Yun didn't quite understand how Yu Maren and the others came here to invite old Mr. Gao. How could it be related to the Banyan Tower? Anyway, there was plenty of time now. Su Yun decided to explore the Banyan Tower first. Usually, even if the Banyan Tower wasn't open for business, it would still be brightly lit. However, it was different today. It was very quiet. The door of the Banyan Tower was closed. There wasn't a single car at the door. It was so quiet that it was like a place that had been abandoned for 100 years. After Su Yun parked his car, he went directly to the Banyan Tower. Unexpectedly, he found that the door was sealed. Out of curiosity, Su Yun gently tore open the seal and walked in. The mess inside really surprised Su Yun. This was simply a violent demolition. Su Yun looked around and thought, this really doesn't look like it can be damaged by ordinary people. It was definitely the work of Han Zhan and Qian Feng when they were angry. One must know that they were all government personnel. They definitely wouldn't do such a thing to ordinary people for no reason. It seemed that the shady business in the Banyan Tower really made people angry. Just now, the Baldy had told Su Yun that this was a place where people ate human flesh. Now, Su Yun really believed it. What are you doing? Someone suddenly roared in the darkness. It was quite scary at night. I want to eat. What's wrong with this place? Earthquake? Su Yun was at a loss. Isn't this a little too cruel? I don't feel any tremors anywhere else. The person in the dark was confused by Su Yun's words, thinking that there was something wrong with his brain. Get out. This isn't a place for people like you. Didn't you see the seal? Bro, what are you holding? Su Yun couldn't be bothered with him. He walked towards the man step by step. He saw that the man had a thick book in his hand. It seemed like he was recording something. When the man in the dark saw Su Yun walking towards him, he immediately turned around and ran. Su Yun saw that he reacted so quickly and stopped him without saying anything. In his panic, that person actually tripped and fainted from the fall. Su Yun was really drunk. He didn't do anything. Su Yun went forward and picked up the thick book that the man dropped. He opened it and looked at it with the help of the moonlight. He was immediately shocked by the things recorded in it. This was a purchase record. It was just a simple purchase record. There was nothing scary about it. What was scary was the things that were purchased. The things that were purchased in this record were really scary. On a certain day of a certain year, a 5-month pregnant fetus was purchased from Taizhou City. The purchase price was 85,000 yuan. The purchase price was 8,000 yuan. The purchase price was 93,000 yuan. On a certain day of a certain year, 2 kidneys were purchased from Hachuan City. The purchase price was 240,000 yuan. Both kidneys were 480,000 yuan. Agreed to take the kidneys on the spot and add 100,000 yuan. The total price was 580,000 yuan. On a certain day of a certain year. The purchase list made Su Yun's jaw drop. This was really a place that ate people alive. No wonder Han Zhan and Chen Feng had smashed it into such a state. If it was Su Yun, he probably couldn't help but burn this place down completely. This was simply a hell on earth. The sound of sirens came from afar. Su Yun quickly retreated. Of course, he had to take the purchase book with him. This thing was obviously something that the other party wanted to destroy. Su Yun wouldn't hand it over to the local police because he didn't trust anyone here at all. If the local police really had some heart and were really worthy of wearing the police uniform, such a cruel thing wouldn't have happened here. This was completely caused by these bastards neglecting their duties. Su Yun quickly drove away from the scene. Along the way, he couldn't calm down. In such a bright society, there was actually such a transaction. It was really outrageous. Even if one party was willing to buy and the other party was willing to sell, it couldn't be allowed. This was a civilized society. Humans shouldn't do such inhumane things. No matter what the reason was, it couldn't be allowed. Damn it! Su Yun angrily punched the steering wheel. He had to send this thing back to Yanjing as soon as possible and hand it over to the bureau chief to deal with. He believed that the higher-ups would attach great importance to this matter. There were so many evil organizations in this world that sold human organs. It was already very evil for them to sell organs, but at least they would still use the organs on other people. But this place... The most outrageous thing about this place was that it was actually used for food. Su Yun really wanted to find the list of consumers here. These people should really be dissected alive. They should also have a taste of having a part of their body cut off. These heartless people should die without a complete corpse. Just by looking at the high price of these things, what about the price after it was made and served? It would definitely be doubled. People who could afford these things obviously had a wealthy identity. Their wealth was definitely shocking, and their origins were unknown. To completely put an end to this phenomenon, it was still necessary to increase the country's punishment for corruption and completely eradicate these malicious things. Su Yun had always thought that this world was so bright and full of love. He didn't expect so much filth to exist under the sun. His heart ached. It was as if all this was caused by their lack of effort. Actually, it wasn't like that. Su Yun could never change good and evil. If there was good in this world, then there would be ugly. This was like the yin and yang in Tai Chi. If there was yin, then there would be yang. If there was justice, then there would be evil. It was impossible to really become like that. A world with only good was the kind of utopia that the Heavenly Eye group brainwashed. It was impossible for it to exist in this world. Thinking of this, Su Yun couldn't wait to inject all of the Ebola virus into the body of the Banyan Tower's boss. Unknowingly, Su Yun drove the car to the entrance of the Gao family's courtyard. Gao Mingwei was a person of status. Xiaotan Town was his hometown. After he returned to his hometown with honor, he built the current Gao family's courtyard on the foundation of his old house. Because of his unusual status, the local government was very supportive. Even though the land occupied by his Gao family's courtyard was enough to build 2 residential buildings with more than 10 floors, there was no light at all in the Gao family's courtyard. Su Yun didn't understand. It was such a big place, and Gao Mingwei was someone who didn't lack money. Didn't he hire a nanny or something? Moreover, this time only he was brought to Beijing. His grandson didn't go. It was naturally abnormal for there to be no light at home at this time. In fact, Yu Meiren and the other 2 were puzzled when they came. In such a big place, only his grandson took care of him. Gao Mingwei didn't hire anyone to help him. Su Yun walked to the door. Seeing that it was a fingerprint access control, he followed the instructions and pressed the doorbell. After the doorbell rang for a minute, there was still no sound at all. Su Yun scratched his head. Could it be that Gao Mingwei's grandson saw that his grandfather wasn't at home and went out for some fresh air? After Su Yun pressed the doorbell again, he gave up on driving away. After driving for a while, he suddenly thought of something. He stopped the car, turned off the engine, and quickly ran back to the Gao family's courtyard. He looked around and saw that there was no one around. Then, he jumped over the 2-meter-tall courtyard wall and stepped lightly on the grass of the courtyard. Not only was there no one in such a big courtyard, there was also no dog. It was so quiet that Su Yun felt that something was wrong. Any normal place would have a normal environment. An absolutely quiet environment didn't exist. Once he encountered one, it meant that there was definitely a problem. This was what Wang Yi taught Su Yun before. Therefore, Su Yun decided to come in and check it out. Chapter 2466. Su Yun was there to investigate some things, and this was authorized by Wan Guangxiao. They all felt that Gao Mingwei was different from before, so Su Yun came here. Although the gate of the Gao family's courtyard was locked, the door inside was not. Su Yun opened it with a gentle pull. But then, Su Yun saw a big camera in front of him. Su Yun made an apologetic gesture to the camera. Although this thing was bulletproof, explosion-proof, and dismantling, it was not difficult for Su Yun to destroy it. But Su Yun did not do that. He was not a thief, so there was no need for that. Even if the Gao family saw him in the surveillance video in the future, it would not be a big deal. Su Yun walked around the living room and did not see anything unusual. It looked like a normal house, but a little bigger. After walking around the huge house twice, Su Yun felt that he was indeed a little rash. There was nothing at all. There was no one in the house. Phew, Su Yun had a headache about this. He did not know what he could find out when the chief asked him to investigate. If Gao Mingwei's personality was different from before, it could only mean that the older a person got, the younger his thinking became. People changed, and this was a very normal thing. There was nothing to be suspicious about. Perhaps it was because the Ebola virus had brought too much of a sense of crisis to everyone, which was why everyone felt that something was wrong. Just as Su Yun was about to give up and leave, he saw an inconspicuous place under the moonlight. There were many faint footprints. Perhaps the floor had not been cleaned for at least 2 days, so he could see the faint footprints. It was a corner that was not worth remembering, so why were there so many footprints? Su Yun's curiosity was piqued again. He walked over carefully and looked around. Sure enough, he found a hidden door that was not easy to detect. The hidden door was locked. After Su Yun found a way to open it, he found a staircase that led to the basement. There was actually a basement in this place, and the staircase in the basement had such an exaggerated lock? Su Yun took a deep breath. This must be Gao Mingwei's laboratory. After all, he was a scientific researcher. It was normal for him to have an absolutely quiet laboratory. It was just that Gao Mingwei had returned to Xiao Tan Town to retire and rest, Why would he still want to set up a laboratory? If he hadn't done enough, he didn't have to retire. Just as Su Yun was puzzled, he vaguely heard faint breathing sounds coming from the basement. Oh my God! Su Yun's brain immediately tensed up. There was definitely something wrong here. And it wasn't a small problem. Su Yun had long heard that scientific researchers were more neurotic. It seemed that Mr. Gao Mingwei was the same. There must be some unspeakable secret in the basement. Perhaps this was the reason for his change in personality. Having found the key to the problem, Su Yun was also excited. He carefully walked in and followed the stairs to the end. The faint breathing inside became more and more obvious. Su Yun knew that the sound of him opening the door would definitely alert the people inside, but he still tried his best not to make any sound. Humph, so what if you're here? Why are you sneaking around? There's no one here at all. What are you afraid of? The sudden voice made Su Yun stunned. Was it a human or a god inside? There was no fear of him at all. Since he had already been discovered, it didn't matter anymore. Su Yun calmed down and walked down the stairs into the basement. Just as he walked into the basement, Su Yun was stunned. Wasn't this Mr. Gao Mingwei in front of him? They had met 5 years ago, so Su Yun remembered him very clearly. Moreover, when Gao Mingwei was in Yanjing, Su Yun was the team leader responsible for protecting him. Therefore, he had a very deep impression of Gao Mingwei. Gao Mingwei was also stunned when he saw Su Yun. He felt like he was dreaming. Mr. Gao, didn't you already go to Yanjing? Su Yun looked at the person in front of him who was tied up in the basement with a shocked expression. Gao Mingwei took a while to regain his senses and realized that he wasn't dreaming. You're really Su Yun? I am. Su Yun looked at Gao Mingwei blankly. Mr. Gao, what's going on? Could it be that Gao Mingwei was cloning people after returning to Shao Tan Town? AI. Gao Mingwei sighed heavily. It's a long story. I didn't expect to meet an old friend in this place. Su Yun regained his senses and wanted to untie the rope on Gao Mingwei. However, just as he picked it up, he stopped. This was too strange. If this was Gao Mingwei, then who was the one who went to Yanjing? If the one who went to Yanjing was Gao Mingwei, then who was this? Gao Mingwei saw Su Yun stop his actions and knew that he must have doubts in his heart. Su Yun really didn't dare to confirm anything now. He looked at Gao Mingwei and hoped that Gao Mingwei could give him a reasonable explanation. The person who was brought to Yanjing wasn't me. His name is Ishii Rasashima. He's a virus specialist in Japan. Gao Mingwei said, when I just returned to Shao Tan Town, I was controlled by them. Ishii Rasashima's body shape and appearance were very similar to mine. He went to the best plastic surgery hospital in Korea for microplastic surgery, so now I can't tell who is who. At this moment, Su Yun was really shocked. He really didn't dare to believe everything he heard. Ishii Rasashima completely corrupted my grandson. Gao Mingwei said, then I ended up like this. Why did your grandson do this to you? Su Yun didn't understand at all. Gao Mingwei sighed helplessly. I'm a person with bad luck. My son and daughter-in-law both died in a car accident. Only then did I retire and go home to take care of my grandson. Because my grandson's body wasn't good since he was young, he stayed in Shao Tan Town because Shao Tan Town's environment was good and could reduce his illness. Su Yun furrowed his brows. This sounded a little confusing. Because he was weak and sick since he was young, and I was busy with my own things and rarely took care of him, he didn't have much feelings for me. Gao Mingwei said, he even blamed me. He felt that, as a scientist, how could I not have a way to make his body stronger? Speaking of this, Gao Mingwei seemed to be in pain. Finally, he continued, suddenly, Ishii Rasashima appeared. He told him that he could increase his body's resistance and then introduced him to a person called Li He. Li He. Su Yun was stunned. Yes, Li He. Shao Tan Town has a 100-year tower. Li He is the boss of the 100-year tower. Gao Mingwei said, the 100-Year Tower has a good reputation, but after Li He inherited it, he started doing some outrageous things. Su Yun sucked in a cold breath. That place eats people? That's right. Gao Mingwei said, Ishii Arasashima took my grandson Takagi to the 100-Year Tower. He ate some chunhui soup, Xiang Wang's gallbladder. These are all things like fetuses and human kidneys. Do you know? This is too scary. It's really too scary. Su Yun couldn't help but want to curse. It was more than outrageous. It could be dragged out and put to death by 1,000 cuts. Then Takagi felt that his body was especially strong and nourished. Gao Mingwei said, I was against it, but Ishii Arasashima supported him. Then he stood by Ishii Arasashima and trapped me here. At the end, Gao Mingwei's tears flowed. He really didn't expect his grandson to treat him like this. For an old man like him, this was really a painful experience. Su Yun sucked in a breath of cold air. They imprisoned you? Yes. Gao Mingwei said, Ishii Arasashima disguised himself as me. He made Takagi keep it a secret and imprisoned me. As a condition, he took Takagi to the 100-Year Tower every month to eat the so-called nourishment. Su Yun couldn't help but feel his stomach churn. Going every month, how many people did this damn bastard eat? He is becoming more and more like a beast. He has completely become Ishii Arasashima's puppet. At the end, Gao Mingwei closed his eyes deeply. Chapter 2467. Even if he was not Gao Mingwei, as an old man, it was too pitiful for him to be imprisoned like a prisoner by his own grandson. This feeling was worse than being killed. Su Yun did not dare to imagine how Gao Mingwei had endured for so many years. He did not dare to imagine how his heart had been destroyed. Su Yun untied all the ropes on Gao Mingwei's hands and feet, but Gao Mingwei did not show any excitement because he was free. All of this seemed to be meaningless. Gao Mingwei did not care if he could still have his freedom. To him, all of this had long become a habit. What is Ishii Kyushu's motive? Su Yun was very worried. If all of this was true, it meant that Ishii Kyushu had already joined the Dragon Brigade. Gao Mingwei took a deep breath. The Japanese want to get all of our research results, so they arranged such a thing. Ishii Kyushu came here to wait for an opportunity. When a country needs me, he will use my identity to sneak in and get all the information they want. These Japanese bastards were really desperate. They could even do such a thing. They had endured for so many years for such an opportunity. At the thought of this, Su Yun's head was about to explode. Ishii Kyushu had already contacted Yu Meirin. Yu Meirin was a girl who was not scheming. She had not come into contact with the messy people in society, so she would not be on guard when communicating with others. Therefore, it was easy for an old fox like Ishii Kyushu to get the information out of her. It could not be any easier. Why are you here? Gao Mingwei suddenly thought of this question. He looked at Su Yun in confusion. To him, Su Yun's appearance was even more incomprehensible. Su Yun took a deep breath. The chief and the others felt that something was wrong, so they asked me to come here to take a look. No wonder they felt that something was amiss. It turns out that there really is such a big trick here. Gao Mingwei smiled. As expected of Mr. Wan. Even though Ishii Jujima spent 5 years imitating me, to the point that even I thought he was me, he still couldn't fool Mr. Wan's eyes. Things are very dangerous now. I'm afraid Ishii Rokushima already knows a lot of things that they shouldn't know, Su Yun said. I have to bring you back to Yanjing as soon as possible. Gao Mingwei shook his head and said, Don't worry. Things won't be as bad as you think. I believe that since Wan feels that something is wrong, he will have his own way to control the situation. I believe in Chief too, but we still have to hurry back as soon as possible, Su Yun said. I really can't believe that I'll have the chance to see the light of day again in this life. Su Yun, thank you. Gao Mingwei said, I really thank you. This is all thanks to Chief's insight, Su Yun said. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come here to know all of this. Mr. Gao, with me here, you can rest assured that no one will be able to hurt you. Gao Mingwei smiled. You said this 5 years ago at the hotel where I stayed. You said it to me. With you here, I can rest assured that no one will be able to hurt me. Su Yun also smiled. It seemed that Mr. Gao was proving to him that he was the real Gao Mingwei. When the two were about to leave, the sound of the door opening came from upstairs. Su Yun was stunned. He didn't expect that the sound above could be heard so clearly in the basement. It must be because of some special structure. Normally, the sound would be louder from downwards. Only then did Su Yun realize that after he entered this place, everything was being monitored by Mr. Gao's ears. It seems that Gao Shan is back. Gao Mingwei motioned for Su Yun to stop untying him. Find a place to hide first. Although Gao Shan is unfilial, the first thing he did when he returned home was to see if I was dead or not. Su Yun felt that this question was a little awkward, but Gao Mingwei seemed to be used to it. He doesn't want me to die. As long as I'm alive, I have value to Ishii Shojima. Moreover, he still has a lot of things he wants to know from me. But if I'm dead, Gao Shan has no meaning to Ishii Shojima. Ishii Shojima doesn't need anyone to take care of me. The sound of footsteps was getting closer and closer, and Su Yun could clearly recognize that it was the sound of two people's footsteps. Yes, that's right, it was the sound of two people's footsteps. Under Gao Mingwei's signal, Su Yun quickly found a hidden corner to hide in. Soon, the sound of the door opening was heard. Grandpa, you're not dead yet, right? Don't die. Grandson is here to see you. Gao Shan said as he walked down. When he saw that Gao Mingwei seemed to be fine, the smile on his face became more and more brilliant. Grandpa, I brought a friend. Do you want to get to know him? The man following behind Gao Shan didn't speak. Humph, a person who doesn't even understand filial piety, what qualifications does he have to make friends? Gao Mingwei sneered. Gao Shan laughed. Of course I'm qualified to make friends, and they're good friends. Grandpa, you're out of date. Making friends doesn't require character, nor does it require any feelings. Making friends only requires a relationship of interest. Then you can make friends. Do you understand what I mean? Really? Then what kind of friend are you making? Gao Mingwei sneered. Of course, he's a friend. Gao Shan said, Come, Grandpa, let me introduce you. Gao Mingwei directly refused with a cold face. No need. I can't afford to lose face. I'm not interested in getting to know your friend. Fish find fish, shrimp find shrimp, turtle find turtle. The friends you make are definitely not good people. I'm not interested in getting to know them. No, you're definitely interested. Gao Shan said, Didn't you say that you wanted to meet Boss Li from the Banyan Tower for a long time? Today, I brought him to you. When he heard the words Li He from the Banyan Tower, Gao Mingwei raised his head and glared at him angrily. He was a human rights activist, so he would be angrier than others when facing people like Li He. Su Yun, who was hiding in the dark, had the urge to rush out and strangle Li He directly, let alone Gao Mingwei. How about it? I said that you must be interested in getting to know him, right? Gao Shan laughed. Because you're a good student, the Banyan Tower is in trouble, so I think it's necessary for me to help Boss Li. Li He was also surprised. He didn't expect Gao Shan to have another grandpa in the basement of this house. Boss Li is usually so busy. It's impossible for him to come to see you, an old man, so you should feel lucky today. Lucky that Boss Li has the opportunity to stand in front of you and give you a chance to get to know him, said Gao Shan. Li He said carefully, Mr. Gao. Nice to meet you. Bah. Gao Mingwei directly spat at Li He. Li He quickly stepped back to avoid it. Grandpa, this is not how our Gao family treats guests. Gao Shan said, How can you do this? If you do this again, I won't be happy. Shameless villain. Gao Mingwei said, Inhumane guy, a wolf in human skin, a demon in human skin. Li He laughed a few times and said to Gao Shan, What the hell is going on? This Mr. Gao and that Mr. Gao. Brother Li, I don't have to hide it from you now. This is my biological grandfather. That one is not. Gao Shan said, but that grandfather will take me to your Banyan Tower to eat a nourishing meal, but this one won't. He thinks that the nourishing meal you make is disgusting. Li He really didn't expect Gao Shan to be so vicious. So, of course, I like that person to be my grandfather. Gao Shan said, and I definitely don't want this grandfather to exist. But it can't be helped. I'm a filial person, so even if I recognize that grandfather, I have been raising this one. I want to take care of him in his old age. Li He laughed a few times. This was definitely the craziest person he had ever seen in his life, right? Chapter 2468. Su Yun quietly took a deep breath and tried to keep himself calm. He knew that Gao Mingwei still had something to say, so he asked him to hide first. No matter how bad Gao Sugi was, he was still his grandson. No matter how many things he did wrong, as his grandfather, he would be reluctant to let him go. Gao Sugi, Grandpa admits that he has wronged you. Gao Mingwei said, I just want to tell you one last time. You are no longer a human being. There are some things that Grandpa can't help you with. I know. If I had been by your side to educate you since you were young, you wouldn't have become like this. Human nature is good. It's all Grandpa's fault. What's the point of saying this now? Are you trying to stir me up? Gao Sugi was stunned. He snorted disdainfully. Old thing, don't worry. Although Li He and Boss Li are here, we won't eat anything from you because you are just an old bone. There is no nutrition and nourishment. If we want to eat, we will eat fresh and tender ones. Gao Mingwei closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Evil creature, what an evil creature. Mr. Gao, your grandson is just joking. Li He said, please don't mind. I just came here to visit you. There is no other meaning. Please forgive me. After Li He finished, he pulled Gao Sugi's arm hard. It seemed that he wanted him to quickly take him out of this damn basement. This was definitely the place that Li He didn't want to stay in the most. He didn't want to stay in this damn place for a minute, no, for a second. This place gave him a suffocating feeling, making him almost unable to breathe. Li He, have you thought it through? Gao Sugi said, this is the safest place I can find for you. You don't want me to live with your grandfather, right? Li He was stunned. There are so many rooms above. Why can't I? I can live above, can't I? You said that no one in the whole Xiaotan town dares to protect you now. If you want to live in my house, I don't dare to be blatant. I only dare to put you here. This is the safest place. I believe you also want to stay in a place that is absolutely safe, and not a place with good conditions but not safe, right? Li He shook his head. This place is indeed safe, but it doesn't give me a good feeling. I don't want to live in a dark place where there's no light, and there's a crazy old thing beside me. At the end of his speech, Li He's voice was very low. If there was no other choice, he would still accept living here, so he didn't want Gao Mingwei to hear his words. My grandfather is not delirious. He knows it very well. Takagi smiled. Actually, isn't it good for all of you to live here? At least you can look after each other. Takagi, I don't think you should do this. Li He said, I'm very grateful that you're willing to help me, but... Boss Li, you know the purpose and reason why I'm helping you. I just hope that after the limelight is over, there will still be a place where I can eat chunhui soup. Takagi said, when I went to your Banyan restaurant to eat before, you didn't give me any special treatment, did you? So now that things have reached this point, you should think about whether it's your own fault. Li He was a little helpless. Brother, I promise you that as long as I can make a comeback in the future, I will treat you to chunhui soup every month. He, I seem to be betting a little too much now. Takagi said, Boss Li, it's not that I don't think highly of you, but the pressure on you now is too great. Do you know that the people who smashed your stall are the masters of Yanjing? They are all people with status. Li He gritted his teeth when he thought of this, but there was one thing he didn't understand. That was, Why did Takagi know those three people so well? In fact, it was very simple. Lee He hadn't thought it through. Takagi was hungry, so he wanted to take this opportunity to eat, but he didn't expect to mess it up. So, Ishii Rasashima hurriedly left with the other three people. He didn't see them at first because he wanted to figure out as much as possible the Dragon Brigade and the people he had contact with. However, because of this sudden incident, Ishii Rasashima still didn't figure it out very clearly. This was why Ishii Rasashima was very dissatisfied with Takagi. Takagi had no choice because he couldn't leave the 100-year tower now. So, he immediately contacted Lee He after Ishii Rasashima left. That was why the two of them colluded now. Then do you dare to bet? Lee He said, if you win, you can eat chunhui soup for free for the rest of your life. If you lose, you won't lack anything. You just have to empty a room for me. This investment is really worth it, right? Takagi nodded. Okay, deal. Lee He sneered in his heart. When I can make a comeback, I will skin you alive and make you into a xiongwang gall to nourish myself. After drinking chunhui soup for 5 years, Lee He believed that Takagi's kidney must be more delicious than the average person's. Although the evil thoughts in his heart were creepy, Lee He smiled very casually. Brother, believe me, I will definitely be able to make a comeback. I'm really waiting for that day. Takagi smiled. Gao Mingwei said slowly, I'm afraid you will never be able to wait for that day. Both of you will never be able to wait for that day. Old thing, can you not be a wet blanket? Can you shut your mouth for me? Takagi said, whether we will have that day or not, it's not up to you to decide. At least I can tell you that you will never be able to wait for the day to go out of here. Do you understand? I am the one who can do what I say. Gao Mingwei shook his head helplessly. Takagi was really hopeless. Then can we go up? I don't like to stay in this place. Lee He said. He had a phobia of enclosed spaces. Such an enclosed place really made him uncomfortable. Takagi nodded. Let's go up and have a drink. I will find the best wine at home. You can see what ingredients are in the refrigerator and make a dish that you can make. This is a very good idea. Lee He said, although there are no nourishing ingredients now, as long as there are enough ingredients, I can still make a relatively delicious nourishing dish for you. Lee He was not only the owner of Banyan Tower, but also the chef of Banyan Tower. This was why Banyan Tower was only open 2 days a week. It was because he was really busy. He needed to rest. Every time after a well-prepared banquet, he needed a good rest. Of course, he would not cook those ordinary dishes. As long as he cooked, it must be a special dish. All the people who came to Banyan Tower to eat came because of his dishes. Even if they did not go to Banyan Tower, they had to order a special dish. Only then could they be considered to have eaten in Banyan Tower. Otherwise, what was the point of eating here when they could eat in any other high-end restaurant? The two got up and prepared to leave, but a figure directly blocked them from behind. Takagi and Lee He couldn't help but tremble. This was too scary. I'm afraid the two of you really can't leave. Su Yun stood behind the two with a smile. His laughter made the two of them feel goosebumps all over their bodies. After all, this person had appeared out of nowhere without making a sound at all. He was like a ghost. Moreover, the two of them had done so many bad things. Of course, they were guilty in their hearts. Otherwise, they would not feel afraid. Who are you? Takagi yelled angrily and had already punched out. This was his instinctive reaction. Su Yun had nothing to say to such a beast. He whipped his head with a whip kick. Takagi fell directly to the ground with a muffled sound. Then, there was no movement at all. Don't waste my time. Su Yun finished speaking and his gaze fell on Lee He. Are you the owner of Banyan Tower? Lee He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and nodded. Then, he shook his head. He didn't know whether he should admit it or not. This person had a murderous aura, which made him really scared. AI, why did I ask you this nonsense? I heard what I should have heard. Su Yun, you don't look different. You are a very normal person. Why are you so cruel? Li He waved his hand. No, it's not what you think. You listen to my explanation. I'm not that kind of person. Okay, don't talk so much nonsense. Su Yun, I'm too lazy to listen to your explanation. If you want to explain, someone will listen to your explanation. Chapter 2469. Li He wanted to take the opportunity to escape, but how could he escape from Su Yun's control? Su Yun raised his hand and stopped Li He. Li He tried to break in but failed. Then, he was slapped 3 times by Su Yun. His face quickly swelled up. Li He, who had no chance to escape, finally gave up. He looked at Su Yun blankly. Who are you? The Gao family's business has nothing to do with me. I know. The Gao family's business is the Gao family's business. But your business is your business. Su Yun, I didn't say that I would put the Gao family's business on your head. Your business is yours. I want to settle it with you alone. I didn't do anything. I'm a good person. I really am a good person. I didn't do anything bad. I beg you, please let me go. Li He said. I'm just a chef who runs a restaurant. I have nothing to hide. Su Yun, you even dared to cook something from a person's body. And you say you didn't do anything bad? You really dare to talk big. I really didn't do anything bad. They did it willingly. They were willing to ask for money. It was all voluntary. I didn't force them. I swear. None of them were forced. Li He said, and I really only did it once or twice. Really, just once or twice. Su Yun smiled. Today, someone went to look for a thick notebook in the 100-year tower. That person should be your subordinate, right? The expression on Li He's face stiffened. If I told you that the notebook is in my hands, what would you think? Su Yun, shouldn't you change your words? There are so many purchase records. How many businesses have you done? Do you still need me to say more? Li He swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He suddenly felt that he was speechless. You've really done a great job with your business. Su Yun smiled. Forget it. I won't waste time talking to you. Just stay in this basement and reflect on your actions. No matter if you understand or not, someone will come and take you away. After Su Yun finished speaking, he didn't wait for Li He to explain. His fist smashed into Li He's face. Li He's vision turned black, and he didn't know anything. These 2 people were not worth mentioning at all. Su Yun untied the ropes on Gao Mingwei's hands and feet, and then tied Gao Mingwei up. He would let him stay in this place for the time being. Mr. Gao, do you have any objections to bringing your grandson back to Beijing for investigation? Su Yun said. Because Takagi's actions were related to betraying the country and collaborating with the enemy, it was very serious. Su Yun had to bring him back. Moreover, he knew everything about Ishii Rope Island, so he had to bring him back to Beijing. Gao Mingwei shook his head. No objection. I just want to make it clear that he didn't know anything, and he didn't say anything to Ishii Kaishima. He was just used. I hope that if possible, he can be given a lighter sentence and a chance to turn over a new leaf. Su Yun was silent. He didn't know how to answer Gao Mingwei because he didn't know what kind of crime Gao Shan's behavior would be. Forget it, I won't make it difficult for you. He, I know this is not up to you. Gao Mingwei said, let's leave it to the country's law. Mr. Gao, there are some things that I hope you can be more open-minded and understanding. Su Yun, you've done so much for the country in your life, I think. You should give him some chances. Gao Mingwei shook his head. I've done what I should. When I was studying, the country groomed me and even sent me to Russia to study. Everything was given to me by the country, so I should do what I should for the country. As for him, the law is just. Since ancient times, there has been a principle that if the emperor breaks the law, he will be punished the same as the commoners. I shouldn't have had such thoughts just now. Mr. Gao, you shouldn't say that, Su Yun. After all, this is your grandson. It's normal for you to have such thoughts. Gao Mingwei shook his head and waved his hand. I've been muddle-headed all my life. Su Yun, I'll call the chief right now and tell him everything that happened here. I think you should calm down now. I hope you can have a good talk with the chief later. Gao Mingwei nodded. Okay, I will. Su Yun quickly contacted Wan Guangxiao and told him everything that happened here in detail. He also told Wan Guangxiao about Ishii's identity in Rope Island. Wan Guangxiao broke out in a cold sweat on the other end of the phone. No wonder this Gao Mingwei was so strange. While doing research, he kept wanting to see the results of Hua Xia's recent research and kept asking him to find death row inmates for experiments. It turned out that this was a huge conspiracy. Fortunately, Wan Guangxiao was very cautious, so he didn't agree to his request. He just delayed it and didn't give him any chance. Chief, Mr. Gao is beside me. I'll give him the phone now. Su Yun handed the phone to Gao Mingwei. Gao Mingwei had tried his best to calm himself down, but he was still a little excited when he picked up the phone. Old Wan, it's me. Old Gao, you've suffered. Wan Guangxiao couldn't imagine what Gao Mingwei had gone through all these years. It was too tragic. Gao Mingwei smiled bitterly and shook his head. Forget it, forget it. Some things are better left unsaid. Don't worry, I'll get back all the pain you've suffered, Wan Guangxiao said. I'll make Ishii Rope Island pay you back double the pain you've suffered. Wan, this Ishii Rope Island is not ordinary. He's also a very powerful bacteria expert. Gao Mingwei said, I think this might be an opportunity. Since he's already gone to your side, you can make use of him. Wan Guangxiao was stunned. You mean, let him deal with the difficult problems we've encountered over the years. Maybe there will be good results and answers. Gao Mingwei said, did you know that Unit 731 was established and led by his ancestors? That's why he knows a lot of things that we don't know. Wan Guangxiao was a little shocked. It was really despicable that he had something to do with the notorious Unit 731. I know that you must be in a very bad mood right now, but you still have to bear with it. Gao Mingwei said, he has value, so we'll try our best to make use of him. As long as you suppress the things that should be suppressed and give him hope to continue staying there, it won't be too late to expose him when the time is right. I understand what you mean. Wan Guangxiao said, don't show up first. Wait for me to get all the information out of him before you appear. That's right. Gao Mingwei said, it's been so many years. My hatred has already faded. Now, I just want him to pay the price in terms of scientific research. Wan Guangxiao nodded. I know. Don't worry. I'll definitely make him spit out everything he can. He's always wanted to use human bodies for experiments to complete some of his research. So, as long as you can use the living test subjects you can find for him as bait, he'll definitely be addicted to you, Gao Mingwei said. Okay. Wan Guangxiao said, then I'll let Su Yun take care of you first. When the time is right here, I'll arrange for someone to pick you up. Well, I get along well with Su Yun. I like this young man. Gao Mingwei said, 5 years ago, I knew that this young man would definitely be promising. Now that I see him again, he's much more mature than before. He's still so young and promising. Wan Guangxiao laughed a few times. Gao Mingwei gave the phone to Su Yun. Su Yun also reported the matter of the Banyan Tower. Wan Guangxiao told Su Yun that Yu Meiren had already told him about this matter. He had already arranged for someone to investigate, and Xiaotan Town would fully cooperate with the work. At this time, no one dared to stir up trouble, so no one would cover for him. The investigators in Yanjing would rush over tomorrow. At that time, Su Yun would hand over the matter to them. Su Yun's task was to take care of Gao Mingwei. After all, he had not been free for many years. He would be very uncomfortable to suddenly recover everything. Chapter 2470. When Gao Mingwei returned to Xiaotan Town, he was faced with pain and torture. Therefore, in a way, this city was definitely not a place worth remembering for Gao Mingwei. Su Yun didn't waste much time in Shouten town. The next day, after the investigation team from Yanjing arrived, Su Yun handed over the purchase notebook and Li He to them. Then, he left Shouten town with Gao Mingwei and Gao Shan. Although Yanjing was still using Ishii Rope Island to get some of his latest research results, it didn't delay Su Yun from taking Gao Mingwei to relax. The changes in 5 years were huge, no matter for a city. Therefore, when Gao Mingwei was taken to Qingdao by Su Yun, he couldn't help but exclaim at the new changes in the city. The last time he came to Qingdao was 7 or 8 years ago. At that time, it was the Olympics. Qingdao had a sailing event. He happened to pass by and took a look. Looking at Qingdao now, it had changed a lot compared to the past. It felt more like a modern metropolis. The only thing that Gao Mingwei wasn't satisfied with was the sea. He remembered that when he came to Qingdao, although the sea wasn't clear, it was at least blue. But now, the sea was green. It was so green that people couldn't help but feel disgusted. The sea level that was full of algae had completely lost the charm that the sea should have. Although the algae wasn't poisonous, like the red tide, it could also block the sun and affect the growth of algae on the seabed. The dead algae would also consume the oxygen in the sea, and the chemicals secreted by the algae were likely to have adverse effects on other marine life. It was Gao Shan's first time coming to a coastal city. Because he was weak and sick since he was young, he almost never came out. Unfortunately, he was tied to the back seat of the car this time. He didn't have the mood to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Gao Shan, who already knew that his anger was useless, completely gave up resisting. Although Su Yun was polite to Gao Shan in front of Gao Mingwei, when they were resting in the highway service area, whenever Gao Mingwei went to the toilet, Su Yun would teach Gao Shan a lesson. They were all invisible injuries, but it was enough to make Gao Shan feel pain all the way. Therefore, Gao Shan didn't dare to provoke Su Yun at all. After arriving at Qingdao, Su Yun found a place to lock up Takagi and asked Shirlei to arrange for people to take turns to keep an eye on him. In this way, Su Yun could also let Gao Mingwei relax for 2 days on Guqin Island. Anyway, he had to wait for the news before he went to Beijing. There was no hurry. Gao Mingwei accepted Su Yun's kindness and spent a few days relaxing on the Guqin Island. Bai Xiaoye told Su Yun about Zhang Zishue's situation. Zhang Zishue did have some talent in acting, but sometimes she couldn't fully immerse herself in the role. After getting into character, it always gave people a feeling that it was fake. This was a feeling that many actors had. Once they got into character, they would give off the feeling that the character should be like this. Then, they would really be first-rate actors. In Huaxia, other than some old actors and actresses who were national treasures, there were probably less than 100 people who could do this in the entertainment industry. This was normal. It was the same in any industry. There were only a few people who were really at the top, and there were probably less than 10 people standing at the top of the pyramid. It was already a very loose number to say that 100 people could reach this level. For example, the top in the business circle was Jack Ma, the real estate circle was Wang Shi, Pan Shi, and the others. In the online literature circle, there were only a few super platinum gods. Therefore, it was normal for Zhang Zishue to have this feeling. Many actors in idol dramas now gave people this feeling, especially those who relied on plastic surgery to make a living and only knew how to act in idol dramas. Weren't their acting very fake? It was very normal for 3 to 5 expressions to act out dozens of scenes. Not all famous actors had good acting skills. Some people only knew how to use publicity and knew how to manage themselves. For example, the boss of the novel world, Xiao Si. Was he handsome? Tall? Was his writing nutritious? Was his movie meaningful? To be honest, there was nothing at all. But he knew how to manage himself and his fans. This way he had influence. With influence, he could become the #1 person. He could sit in a Mercedes-Benz with a wave of his hand. He could hire a few celebrities to film a gorgeous music video with dialogue and earn hundreds of millions at the box office. This was his standard. It was a standard that people couldn't help but admire. Who in this circle could compare to him? Probably no one had Xiao Si's ability. Of course, he had already left the novel world. This was just a label on him. He was a product manager and managed his fans. As a newcomer in the entertainment industry, Jiang Zixue was already comparable to a dark horse in the online literature circle for her to be able to get such recognition. She was the kind of person who could get her first book on the list and be compared to the various gods. Therefore, Jiang Zixue was already very good now. She was considered outstanding among the extras. The main thing was that she had a good foundation and a celebrity face. This kind of temperament was very suitable for the entertainment industry. It was easy for directors to take a fancy to her. This was a matter of temperament. Some people just looked like this. They didn't make people dislike them. That was why they could be promoted step by step. Suyun decided to go and see Jiang Zixue. Although it was already night time, Jiang Zixue was still on set because of the night scene. Suyun went directly to the film studio. Shirley, who was about to go home, naturally stayed behind to accompany Suyun to the set. Although there weren't as many people filming at the film studio at night as during the day, it was still brightly lit. Shirley's appearance at the film studio wasn't too surprising. However, Suyun's appearance at the film studio attracted a lot of attention. The boss was always the boss. Everyone wanted to be chosen by the boss. There were too many times in the entertainment industry where a newcomer could become popular just because the boss found the newcomer pleasing to the eye and wanted to package the newcomer. It was just such a simple matter. Think about those Banana-gate and Golf-gate incidents. They were all caused by those rich bosses. However, newcomers always knew one thing. As long as a newcomer was chosen by the boss, they wouldn't do too badly. More importantly, a big boss like Suyun wouldn't appear at the set easily. Therefore, when Suyun appeared, even the director and the leading actors got up to greet him. Jiang Zixue was very excited when she saw Suyun in the corner. However, because of her identity, she finally gave up greeting Suyun. When Suyun looked for her, she directly turned and hid in the crowd. Compared to those extras who were all looking up and hoping to be chosen by Boss Su, Jiang Zixue was the only one who avoided him. Suyun didn't find Jiang Zixue in the crowd. Shirley wanted to ask, but was stopped by Suyun. Although Suyun didn't have much contact with Jiang Zixue, he could see that Jiang Zixue was a thoughtful person. To be honest, someone like her could only work under Suyun. This was because almost all female stars were willing to have close relationships with the boss. They just wanted to use the opportunity to get the role they liked. From the movies produced by many film companies, some female stars' sudden involvement was indeed unexpected. Female stars who received the boss's support would generally have a short time of glory. They would appear in the boss's movies and maintain a close relationship with the boss at public events. Some female stars who had been famous for a long time weren't spared. They could maintain their status as first-rate stars in the industry because they needed the boss's help. These were the rules of the industry. Suyun was probably the only one who wasn't like this. He rarely attended events with the artists under Sky Entertainment, and he wouldn't do anything private with the artists. He already had a scandal with Ling Jiling. He didn't want another one. This kind of hype wasn't a good thing for him. Those paparazzi who wrote nonsense were really a headache. Therefore, unless it was a last resort, Suyun would definitely prevent this kind of thing from happening to him. You guys do your thing. I'm just looking around. Suyun, if you need anything, just tell Brother Lei. We will try our best to satisfy all your needs in the film and television city. Chapter 2471. Under the flattery of a group of people, Suyun left the set. At this time, Jiang Zixue walked out of the crowd and the crowd dispersed. No one felt that they had left a deep impression on Suyun. Where did you go just now? When the director saw Jiang Zixue, he was startled. Sky Entertainment's Mr. Su is here. At this time, you should perform more. With your image, it will be easy for the entertainment company to package you. Do you understand what I mean? Jiang Zixue just smiled foolishly. I think it's better to rely on my own ability to be recognized. Based on your ability? The director was stunned. This girl was a bit interesting. In today's society, people who could rely on their appearance to make a living were competing for their ability. She really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Jiang Zixue was very serious about this issue. She didn't say it casually. She didn't want to be the kind of person who relied on her appearance to make a living. Especially in the entertainment industry, people who relied on their appearance to make a living were often criticized. Jiang Zixue wasn't prepared for this. Okay, you have ambition, the director said. Relying on your ability to make a living, ha ha ha. There aren't many young people who dare to say such big words. You are a special case. I'm looking forward to seeing how you rely on your ability to make a living. I will definitely work hard. Jiang Zixue said. I hope the director will give me more opportunities in the future. The director waved his hand. Remember, you are not a star yet. If you want a chance, you have to fight for it. I won't let a newcomer practice on my work. When you're really popular and have a fan base of hundreds of thousands or even millions, we'll talk about the opportunity. Jiang Zixue knew that with her status, she was only qualified to be in contact with the assistant director. The director said so much to her because he saw that her image was good and thought that she had a future. Only those who are packaged by the company can be successful? Jiang Zixue said. Of course, what else do you think? The director said. Do you think you can make a living in this industry without the company packaging you? Have you never been in contact with society? This society is very complicated. It's not just the industry you are in. In any industry, without support, you can't make a living. Jiang Zixue shook her head. I don't believe it. You don't believe it? All right, let me give you an analogy. The director said, Wang Changbao is the most popular actor ever since he started as an extra. Among those who are young and have no social experience, the most popular one is the FT boy. How did they become popular? Isn't it packaged? If Wang Changbao had not been signed by the company, would he have become famous? Will I have the opportunity to act in all kinds of shows? Jiang Zixue gritted her teeth. That seemed to be the case. Let me give you another example. Nowadays, many people are reading online novels. Is there a big difference between the things written by a big god who earns hundreds of thousands a month and a small god who earns tens of thousands a month? The gap isn't that big, and it's because of the hype that led to the existence of this gap. The director said, that's why I said that in the web novel industry, if you rely on your abilities, you can only make a living. At most, you can become a small god. If you want to become a big god, you need a website to support you. The director paused for a moment. And the entertainment industry is the same. Depending on your ability, you can at most become a big special agent and earn enough money to support your family. And if you want to be a superstar with tens of millions of fans, it's absolutely impossible without a company's packaging. Do you understand what I mean? Jiang Zixue didn't say anything else. She quietly turned around to do her work because she knew that everything the director said made sense. Nowadays, Dragon Brigade could be said to be a place with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Not only was there Ishii Rope Island disguised as Gao Mingwei, there was also Chong Mo, who had been waiting all this time. Actually, after the 10th day, Chong Mo gave up waiting. She knew that they wouldn't come. No one would appear in front of her and say that they wanted to take her away. But she didn't want to admit it. She didn't dare to admit it. Because she knew that once she admitted it, there would be no hope. When a person didn't even have hope, that kind of feeling would drive them crazy. During this period of time, Chong Mo refused to see anyone. She didn't want to talk to anyone either. She only opened her mouth to say 3 sentences. The first sentence was, "Where's Su Yun?" The second sentence was, "Is Su Yun back?" The third sentence was, "When will Su Yun be back?" When the answers she received weren't the ones she wanted, she didn't speak to anyone else. Chong Mo had been thinking, why did she have to accept things when the answer was already confirmed? Why didn't Su Yun stand in front of her and force her to accept the truth? If Su Yun forced her to accept the truth, maybe she could accept it. But now that Su Yun wasn't here, no one could take Su Yun's place and force her to admit this fact. force her to admit that this was the truth. So she really didn't have a choice. She could only let herself bear all the pain and accept the reality that she didn't want to accept. Finally, Hua Xiaolu, who was in charge of delivering her food, came in and said something that gave her hope. Su Yun should be back in a few days to deal with some things. Hua Xiaolu said, I know that you don't want to talk to anyone here. Other than Su Yun, no one knows what happened to you. No one understands you. Chong Imo raised her head and looked at Hua Xiaolu blankly. There was actually someone who could see through her. Hua Xiaolu said, You won't have to wait long. You've been here for a long time. I believe you've thought through a lot of things. I don't need to say anything more. Chong Imo closed her eyes and didn't look at Hua Xiaolu. She didn't want to hear anyone else speak. Eat slowly, Hua Xiaolu said and turned to leave. The room was quiet. The air was quiet. Everything was so quiet and empty. Chong Imo suddenly felt that everything in this confined space was so scary. She was so helpless. The world was so big. She thought she had everything. But now she realized that she had nothing. This was the first time Chong Imo had shed tears in this confined space. She didn't know what these tears were for. The person she hated the most, Su Yun. But now he was the only person she could rely on. She felt that she had been abandoned by the whole world. The only person who could still hold her hands was Su Yun. Su Yun. Why was it Su Yun? The Dragon Brigade's medical team was very busy. With the arrival of Gao Mingwei, they solved many of their problems. Gao Mingwei was also happy to help them solve some of their problems. Because Wan Guangxiao told him that his application for a live experiment would be approved soon. He had already applied for a death row prisoner. Now it was up to these death row prisoners to see if they were willing to come. Gao Mingwei was very excited. He had waited for so long. Finally, Gao Mingwei had been tempting Wan Guangxiao to tell the death row prisoners that there was nothing to be afraid of if the experiment failed. It was like being injected to death. Anyway, they were death row prisoners. They would die sooner or later. Once the experiment was successful, they would be successful. Not only would they be free from death row prisoners, but they would also receive all kinds of care and opportunities. He also said that the country would arrange jobs for them and give them a large sum of money as rewards. But all of this was made up by Gao Mingwei, because he knew very well that these test subjects would never be able to walk out of the laboratory alive. Test subjects were constantly used for experiments. After one succeeded, there would be another. There would always be an experiment that failed, and failure meant death. This was the result of all live experiments. For the sake of science, there were many cruel sacrifices. The ones sacrificed were usually the animals. That was why people were cruel. But when people wanted to use humans as sacrifices, it wasn't just cruel. It was a kind of horror. Gao Mingwei hoped that his experiment would go smoothly. This time, when he came to Yanjing from Shaotan Town, he put more than 130 different kinds of bacteria and viruses in his black suitcase. He wanted to know what would happen to a person after being infected by these things. He also wanted to take the blood and brain of the patient to study the antibodies. Chapter 2472. In this state, Gao Mingwei was crazy. Every day, he would show all kinds of unknown results that he knew or had already researched, and then use this method to prove his ability to Wan Guangxiao. Let Wan Guangxiao trust him and have expectations of him. This was the only way he could get Wan Guangxiao to bring him a human test subject as soon as possible. Time passed like this, day by day. Every day went by step, and nothing new happened. Finally, Gao Mingwei could not bear to wait day after day. He was really reluctant to inject the Ebola antibodies that he had painstakingly worked on into other animals. That would be a huge waste for him. Only living people could stimulate his desire to work. Finally, when Gao Mingwei could not bear it anymore, he expressed to Wan Guangxiao, Wan, if I still can't get a living person to be my test subject, I'm going to give up on this research. Why? Wan Guangxiao said, isn't everything going very smoothly now? Old Juan, all antiviral injections have an expiration date. If I can't guarantee that I can inject it into the test subject in time during the expiration date, my research will be in vain. Gao Mingwei shook his head helplessly with a pained expression. That's why I don't have a choice. Wan Guangxiao nodded. Okay, then I'll arrange for someone to be your test subject this afternoon. Gao Mingwei was stunned. He looked at Wan Guangxiao with a blank face. You already have a test subject? Then why didn't you? There are no test subjects yet, because no one is willing to do it. Wan Guangxiao said, but for the sake of science, in order to support your research, I've decided to enforce it. Even if no one is willing, I'll still arrange for your first test subject. Hearing Wan Guangxiao's words, Gao Mingwei seemed particularly excited. He didn't expect Wan Guangxiao to have such an impulse. Wan, don't worry, I won't let you down. I'll definitely produce results for you to report to the higher-ups. Don't worry. It doesn't matter. As long as it can help you break through, I'll take care of everything else for you. Just focus on your research. Wan Guangxiao's promise gave Gao Mingwei a lot of confidence and support. With these words, Gao Mingwei was no longer worried that his experiment could not continue. Wan, what you're doing is right. You can only start with this and let the other death row prisoners see it. Let them know that even if they're not willing, they'll still be brought in for the experiment. Then, they'll realize the benefits of being willing. You're right. Life is a gamble. What they're facing now is a gamble. If you win, you'll be successful and famous, and everything in the past will be cleared. Wan Guangxiao said, if you lose, you'll still die. Compared to them, who are already sentenced to death, what's the difference? Good, well said. Gao Mingwei, who received this confirmation, couldn't sit still. How about I go with you to choose the test subjects? Old Gao, there's no need for that. It's not convenient for you to go. After all, you're in the research field. Leave those things to me. Wait for my news. After everything is arranged, I'll inform you. Wan Guangxiao said, I'll go and settle this matter now. That's great. Gao Mingwei was so excited that he couldn't speak coherently. After Wan Guangxiao returned to his office, he called Su Yun. Why aren't you here yet? Sir, I've already entered Yanjing. There's a bit of a traffic jam. Su Yun, I'll be there in about 20 minutes. Do you have any urgent orders? Ishii Kaishima is running out of patience. These days, he's been asking me for people. Every time, he's vague. I think he's already suspicious. Wan Guangxiao said, we don't know what those drugs and injections are. If we fall out with him now, he might not say anything. Su Yun also understood this. I'm afraid he'll only record these things when he starts experimenting. So, we have to give him test subjects. Easy for you to say. I've already promised to prepare test subjects for him in the afternoon to calm him down. Wan Guangxiao said, but he wants living people. Where am I going to find them for him? I'm not that crazy. Su Yun, me, let me go. Wan Guangxiao frowned and said, what do you mean? You're going to be his test subject? Are you crazy? Do you think you can take those things injected into your body? Or do you think you want to become a monster? Let me tell you, it's not a joke to inject those things into the human body. Chief, I'm not that stupid. I'm also not that bold. Su Yun, I definitely won't let him inject those things into me. I just think that I might have a chance to get some information out of him. Wan Guangxiao seemed to have realized something. Interesting. I understand now. You want to use the identity of a dying man to obtain information from him. I think this is the easiest way to find out what he's been researching. Su Yun, I just have to make sure that I'm not injected with those damn things. It's feasible. But it also means that it's very dangerous. Do you understand? Wan Guangxiao said, whatever he researches can't be injected into your body. You have to make sure of this. Otherwise, I really don't dare to let you take the risk. Su Yun smiled. Leave this to me. When the time comes, he won't have a chance to deny it even if he wants to. Then we'll discuss the plan in detail when you guys come back, Wan Guangxiao said. Yes, Chief. After Su Yun hung up the phone, he sped up the car. The real Gao Mingwei was also shocked by Su Yun's idea. Su Yun, I think you should think about it more carefully. This isn't a joke. Some things just need to be pricked. They don't even need to be injected. The powerful bacteria can quickly erode a person's body through the blood and skin. Mr. Gao, please don't worry. I won't let people prick me easily. Su Yun, I'll be very careful. It's too dangerous. It's really too dangerous. Gao Mingwei shook his head. Because he was an expert in the field of bacteria and viruses, he knew the stakes of this thing. He was worried that Su Yun didn't know how dangerous it was. Su Yun smiled. Mr. Gao, I remember that I was only a teenager when I carried out my first mission. When I was 18, I could complete high-risk missions on my own. I'm not trying to show off. I just want to say that my duty is to do these dangerous things. Gao Mingwei gave him a thumbs up in admiration. If the country didn't have people like you, who knows how much more trouble we would have encountered. You and your brothers have worked too hard. I'm just doing what I should do. Su Yun, what's so hard about it? Gao Mingwei looked at his grandson, Gao Shan, who was tied up and had his mouth sealed. If Gao Shan had even 1% of your potential, he wouldn't have fallen to this point. Gao Shan's mouth was personally sealed by Gao Mingwei. He was too talkative. Along the way, he kept talking and begging them to let him go. He kept crying and complaining about how pitiful he was. After all, Gao Mingwei had already lost his son. Now, the Gao family only had one grandson. If something happened to Gao Shan, the Gao family would be extinct. That was something that would end the family line. Therefore, when Gao Mingwei gave up on Gao Shan, he even placed all his hopes on Su Yun. He even treated Su Yun as his own child. This way, he would feel some psychological comfort. However, if Su Yun did such a dangerous thing, it meant that there was a high chance that trouble would come. Mr. Gao, don't worry. Su Yun, Gao Shan won't be sentenced to death. If he has the mentality to change, he will admit his mistakes and strive to be a good person. Gao Mingwei smiled bitterly and nodded. Could this grandson of his still be a good person? He really didn't have any confidence in Gao Shan. A guy who could collude with a Japanese to lock up his grandfather in order to eat that disgusting tonic, be a good person? Was there such a possibility? At least, Gao Mingwei couldn't see any hope. He didn't think that his grandson could be a good person. It was so difficult, completely impossible. Chapter 2473. After Su Yun arrived at the Dragon Brigade, he did not enter from the main entrance. Instead, he went to the back of the mountain and changed vehicles to follow the training team back to the brigade. This was because the Gao Mingwei, impersonated by Ishii Kaishima, had been watching the door, hoping to see the death row prisoners being brought in. Su Yun and the others could not be exposed, so after changing vehicles at the back of the mountain, they sent the real Mr. Gao to a safe place. They would not show up until the matter was settled. As for Gao Sugi, he was directly arranged to be taken away by another vehicle. He would be detained first and dealt with together after Ishii Kaishima's matter was settled. Gao Mingwei had no objection to this decision at all. He would follow the organization's arrangements. Even now, he was so reluctant. Even if Gao Sugi had made a big mistake, he was still his son's flesh and blood. Hua Xia had a saying since ancient times, care for the child despite the age gap. A grandfather might be particularly harsh on his son, but he would never have the same requirements for his grandson. This had always been in Hua Xia. Whoever did not do so would be regarded as an anomaly. What was an anomaly? When a grandfather trained his grandson strictly, it would be regarded as a kind of lack of care and a kind of wrong. Gao Mingwei was not an anomaly. He was also a normal grandfather who liked to spoil his grandson. But now, in the face of principles, he made the right choice and did what he should do. Although this caused him a lot of pain, he could only bear this pain silently. Because they were worried about Gao Mingwei's feelings, the Special Forces brothers who took Gao Sugi away were relatively polite. If it weren't for Gao Mingwei, facing such a bastard who ate a 5-month fetus every month, he would have been beaten down by these brothers before he was brought to the car. At this time, Wan Guangxiao's car also arrived at the back of the mountain. After he got out of the car, he went directly to Gao Mingwei. "Old Gao, you've suffered." "It's nothing," Gao Mingwei said indifferently. "Old Wan, I really have to thank you for this matter. If you hadn't noticed, I'm afraid I wouldn't have the chance to escape and see the light of day again in this lifetime." "No, God can't be so blind," Wan Guangxiao said. "I'm really sorry that I didn't notice anything after so many years. It's all my fault for not going to see you. If I had gone to Shao Tan Town earlier to see you, I might have been able to detect something wrong a day earlier." Gao Mingwei shook his head. "The country needs you for so many things. You don't have the time. You can't leave. I know it too well." Wan Guangxiao still felt particularly guilty in his heart. This feeling really made him very uncomfortable, but there was nothing he could do about it. "Old Gao, come with me. I'll take you to a place to rest first. I'll leave the rest to Su Yun," Wan Guangxiao said. Gao Mingwei took a deep breath and said, "I have to say, this decision is too dangerous. It's too crazy. I really don't dare to imagine. Will you really agree to this? This is a very risky thing. It's really not safe. I really don't support it." Wan Guangxiao was silent for a while. "Yes, it's very dangerous. I don't support it either. But, this is their responsibility." Gao Mingwei shook his head and said, "Could it be that he's the only one who can make arrangements for so many people in the Dragon Brigade? Wan, it's not that I'm being nosy, but I really feel that letting Su Yun take this risk is too big. You can let others, I don't know how to say it. I'm really worried that something will go wrong. Old Mr. Gao, the lives of all the brothers in the Dragon Brigade are equally valuable." Su Yun said, "I'm not more valuable than anyone else. I'm sorry. I really don't mean to look down on other people's lives. It's just, I really don't want anything to happen to you." Gao Mingwei said, "I know how dangerous this is." Su Yun understood what Gao Mingwei meant. He didn't want anyone to take this risk. And if someone had to bear this risk, he didn't want it to be him. "Old Gao, I'm letting Su Yun go because I trust him. I trust him more than I trust anyone else." Wan Guangxiao said, "You know what kind of person I am." Gao Mingwei let out a long sigh. "I know. You're someone who doesn't fight unprepared battles. You're someone who won't do anything unless you're 100% certain. Then you can follow me with peace of mind. Leave the rest to him." Wan Guangxiao said, "Why do I trust this kid? Because Su Yun is the same as me. We don't fight unprepared battles. We don't do things that we're not confident in. So, I believe that since he's the one who suggested this, he naturally has his own plans and thoughts." Gao Mingwei reached out and patted Su Yun on the shoulder. "Son, do your best. Just wait and see." Su Yun smiled. "Have a good rest." After watching Wan Guangxiao and Gao Mingwei leave, a special police car that was escorting criminals drove over from a place not far away. The car stopped and Hua Xiaolu jumped out of the car. "Brother, the car is here. Are you ready to act? You're the driver." Su Yun laughed. "Isn't this scene a bit too big? We even had to borrow a special police car." Hua Xiaolu said, "The chief said that we can't underestimate that person. His insight is very strong. So, the chief didn't tell us the truth. So far, there are less than 10 people who know that Gao Mingwei is from Ishii Rope Island. I only found out at the last minute. That's because I'm afraid that Ishii Rope Island will see through your disguise if you do something wrong." Su Yun, "Then let's go. We'll go around the back of the mountain and make a big commotion. Let Ishii Rope Island see that what he wants is finally here. Su-yun couldn't wait to see Ishii Rope Island. The special police car escorting criminals had sirens. When Hua Xiaolu and Su-yun came back from the main entrance of Dragon Brigade, the sirens were deafening. Many people who didn't know what was going on were confused. Ishii Rope Island heard the sirens and immediately ran to the window. When he saw the car, he realized that he hadn't waited for so many years in vain. The opportunity had come. Wan Guangxiao was already led by the nose. Ishii Rope Island smiled proudly. He knew that this could be the glory of his life. As long as he did all the human experiments he wanted to do in Huaxia, he would have no regrets in his life. After he got all the results of the experiments, he could find a reason to return to Xiao Tan Town and inform the Japanese to arrange for people to protect him. When he left Beijing and went to Xiao Tan Town, he could use his own way to get rid of Huaxia's shackles. Although he was almost forgotten by the Japanese after 5 years of hiding, he believed that when he returned to Japan, he would be worshipped as a hero. One day in the future, even if he died, he would be placed in a shrine and worshipped by future generations. This was what Ishii Rope Island wanted. This was the reputation, status, results, identity that Ishii Rope Island wanted. All of this would be over soon. Ishii Rope Island couldn't wait to send the people alive, but he still had to act calm. Compared to his performance during this period of time, Ishii Rope Island was much calmer this time. When Su-yun was tied to the experiment table and Wan Guangxiao came to invite him personally, Ishii Rope Island pretended to be surprised and said that the person was here. Then, he calmly went to the laboratory with Wan Guangxiao. "He's inside," Wan Guangxiao said. "Because he didn't do it willingly, we covered his head with a black paper bag. I was worried that he would resist, so I controlled him very well, so you don't have to worry at all." "I'll be careful," Ishii Rope Island said. In order to make it seem more real, Wan Guangxiao even brought Chen Feng and Han Zhan to his side. "To ensure your safety, I arranged for the two of them to protect you inside. If you need any help, you can tell them." "No need." Ishii Rope Island was bound to feel guilty for doing such a thing. Of course, he wouldn't agree to let others watch over him. "I can do it myself. Besides, I'm not used to having people around me when I'm doing research. It will distract me and be detrimental to the research." Wan Guangxiao naturally understood why he refused. "Well, then I'll let them stay at the door. Remember, if there's a problem, you must press the alarm button. Because the laboratory is too sealed and soundproof, we can't hear anything you shout inside." "I understand." Ishii Rope Island smiled and thought to himself, the soundproof effect is naturally the best. No one will hear the painful moans of the test subject. Such a beautiful sound, and only he can enjoy it. That feeling is too comfortable. Chapter 2474. It had been a long time since Ishii Ropishima entered the laboratory with such excitement. The suitcase he carried with him was filled with all kinds of viruses and bacteria that he had carefully extracted over the years. Even he himself could not predict how powerful these things were. The mice he used for experiments would mutate into the size of a cat due to the virus. The monkeys he used for experiments would turn into the paws of bears. He had experimented on all kinds of situations. However, the only thing he had never experimented on was living people. Just thinking about it made him excited. When he closed the door to the laboratory, it was as if he had locked himself in a paradise. All the fun he could enjoy here was something no one else could. His prey was already fixed on the research bed in the laboratory. Looking at the sturdy young man who was still struggling from time to time, he had an inexplicable impulse. The physical fitness of this death row prisoner looked perfect. The lines of his body, the muscles, the feeling. It was definitely a perfect test subject. Ishii Ropishima believed that this test subject would definitely give him a different feeling and bring him a different kind of perfection. "Who are you? Don't come over, I didn't promise to be your test subject. You can't do this. You have no human rights." Su-yun's voice sounded so desperate. He kept calling for help, struggling, and begging. This reaction aroused Ishii Ropeshima's excitement and madness. He. My dear, don't be nervous, don't be angry. Ishii Ropeshima smiled and said, I won't hurt you. You should thank me for coming here. I gave you a chance, so you can say goodbye to the death row. What do you want to do to me? I don't want to be a test subject, absolutely not. Su-yun said, I won't believe you, absolutely not. Don't worry, I will make you believe me. Ishii Ropeshima said, you can imagine the benefits of coming here to do this experiment. Think about it, you are now free from the death row. Aren't you very happy? Ishii Ropeshima guided Su-yun bit by bit. He still hoped that his test subject could be calm, because only a calm test subject could give him some feedback. After all, humans were different from animals. Animals had no language. Everything could only be analyzed based on their performance and tested through instruments. Humans, on the other hand, were different. Humans could express their feelings immediately. For example, chest tightness, shortness of breath, abdominal pain, etc. Humans could express all kinds of feelings with words. If Ishii Rope Island wanted his test subject to cooperate, he would have to find a way to convince his test subject. If he couldn't convince him, then he would have to find a way to observe and solve the problem himself. Am I not also sentenced to death here? Su-yun, you'll do some messy experiments on me, and then I'll die. I'll definitely die. I know. I don't want to die in the hands of a pervert like you. Don't be agitated. Listen to me. My name is Gao Mingwei, and I'm the most authoritative virus researcher in Huaxia. So, with me here, you don't have to worry about anything. Ishii Ropeshima said, do you know? As long as you cooperate with me, I won't let anything happen to you. When you cooperate with me, you won't be a death row prisoner anymore. You'll be like me, a hero who cooperates for the betterment of humanity. When the time comes, you'll get the flowers, applause, and a new identity you want. Do you understand? Su-yun still did not relent. I don't understand. I don't want any of that. Ishii Ropeshima seemed to cherish his test subject. He was very patient and did not give up on persuading him. Do you still remember the pain of your family when you were sentenced to death? Ishii Rasashima said vividly, think about their painful expressions at that time. That kind of helplessness, that kind of heartache, that kind of expression that you can't bear to think about. Do you feel that you shouldn't be like this now? Su-yun did not speak again. If you continue to fantasize, when you cooperate with me, the experiment will be completed, and your identity will be cleared. Then, you will use your new identity to return to your family. The country will arrange for you to be a civil servant. You can live a carefree life. You will bring honor to your ancestors. Your family will not suffer anymore. They will only be proud of you. Do you understand? No wonder Ishii Ropeshima could disguise himself for so long. 5 years. He was a person who could lie easily. He did not even need to think about it. This could be considered an ability. Most people could not do it. However, he was also very clear in his heart that if he was really a prisoner on death row, giving him this kind of yearning for life, giving him this kind of hope, giving him this kind of opportunity to see the smiling faces of his family, that would be a huge gift to him. For him, this was a luxury that he did not even dare to think about. Therefore, they would agree to cooperate. They would cooperate with you with hope. That kind of cooperation was far better than experiments on animals. Ishii Ropeshima could understand the mentality of a death row prisoner very well. He could also understand the mentality of a death row prisoner's family very well. If Wan Guangxiao could not bring him a death row prisoner, he would make a new request. He would talk to the death row prisoner's family and let their family persuade them. The death row prisoner's family was easier to persuade. This was a very, very simple matter of mentality. In many ordinary families, there would be conflicts and quarrels between family members every day. Parents would be resentful of their children for failing to live up to their expectations and would nag at their children. It was really because this family was too happy and stable that these trivial matters would cause these conflicts and treat these trivial matters as irresolvable conflicts. What would the death row prisoner's family think? They would not feel embarrassed because their children did not have a decent job. They would not feel worried because their children did not earn enough money and had no ability. They would not complain because their children did not pay attention to certain things. This was because they did not have the opportunity to do these things. As long as their children could be by their side, even if they were a useless person who did not do anything, they would feel satisfied. Facts had proven that the more well-behaved a young person was, the easier it was for the elders to make more demands. On the contrary, the more unruly a young person was, the easier the elders' demands would be. As long as you did not cause trouble, you could do whatever you wanted. There was a statistic about the global crime rate. Because Hua-Xia statistics were often not very convincing, using the United States as an example, out of 100,000 people in the United States, there were close to 8,000 criminals. In other words, out of 100 people, there were 8. Hua-Xia's statistics were definitely lower than this. But what was the reason? Hua-Xia people cared about face. Some things were too hypocritical. In order to reduce the apparent crime rate, many local public security agencies implemented the principle of fewer cases. For example, many minor crimes require the parties involved to settle privately or mediate between them. Very few cases were filed. This kind of situation was too common in Hua-Xia. Things like stabbing people with a knife or hitting people with a car could be settled privately. So, if Hua-Xia was strict, the ratio would be about the same as the United States. In the United States, perhaps you did not need to lock the door when you went out, because if someone wanted to break in, it did not matter much whether you locked the door or not. Those who broke in would eventually break in, and those who did not would not come in even if you left the door open. But what about Hua-Xia? Every household had a burglar-proof door and anti-theft net. When you returned home, you sometimes felt like you had entered an iron cage. Would you dare to go out without locking the door? That was really crazy. Saying this was not to humiliate the incompetence of the public security personnel, nor was it to say that Hua-Xia's crime rate was high. It could only be said that it was more or less the same. In Hua-Xia, out of 100 people, at least 8 had committed crimes. Minor crimes included stealing and fighting, and major crimes included murder, arson, robbery, and armed robbery. Therefore, if the children of an ordinary family did not commit any crimes, then they were really a happy family. Not only would the families of death row prisoners envy such families, but the families of ordinary criminals would also envy such families. If the children in the family did not live up to expectations and did not do proper work, they would also envy such families. However, in these ordinary families, which were often the most envied, the family conflicts were the most. Perhaps this was not knowing how lucky they were. Everyone was like this. This was a common phenomenon. However, Ishii Kaishima knew very well that the families of death row prisoners would definitely hope for such a life. Even if they quarreled every day, if it could save their son from death, they would be willing. Chapter 2475. Su-Yun's mood began to calm down, and he asked tentatively, "Can I know what kind of experiment I am participating in?" "Of course, you are participating in an experiment that plays a vital role in the development of human history." Ishii Hiroshima said, "If you hadn't stepped forward, the world might not be so wonderful, and a huge disaster would have broken out." "What happens after the disaster?" Su-Yun asked. "Can I save all human disasters?" "Yes, you are here to complete this mission." Ishii Hiroshima said, "Since the beginning of human history, we have destroyed too many things that should not be destroyed. Therefore, we are being punished. The climate is warming, the ozone layer is being destroyed, biodiversity is decreasing, and acid rain is spreading. Have you ever thought about what these will cause?" Su-Yun shook his head. These things were not within his scope. He was not a scientific researcher, so of course, he did not know so much. Climate warming will not only cause the harm you think, but also nourish the growth of bacteria and viruses. The destruction of the ozone layer will not only cause the harm you think, but also cause bacteria to mutate and breed more bacteria and viruses that we can't control. Ishii Hiroshima said, "So, in the future, the living environment of human beings will struggle with more unpredictable things." Although Su Yun hated Ishii Hiroshima, what he said really made Su Yun a little scared. The sharp decline of forests, land desertification, air pollution, water pollution, ocean pollution, solid waste pollution. These were all things that the whole society had to face. Putting aside the possibility of the bacteria mutating and the virus growing in Ishii Rope Island, the problem they were facing now was already very serious. Global climate warming and sea level rising. How many coastal cities will be swallowed up in the future? Are you still interested in a sea view house? Now soil erosion is serious, and the area of arable land is reduced. Even the agricultural land of a large agricultural country like Huaxia is occupied by many real estate developers. Forest resources are decreasing day by day, and water scarcity restricts development and affects life. It is serious to the point that we can't imagine. Sooner or later, we will become like the Middle Eastern countries, where water is more expensive than oil. The destruction of the ozone layer threatens life on Earth, accelerating the extinction of biological species, and sharply reducing biological resources. Moreover, the population explosion endangered the natural ecology and destroyed the biological chain. The transfer of harmful artificial compounds, the transfer of harmful waste, the pollution of the world, and the pollution of the environment by the residual substances. Take electronic waste for example. Every year, tens of millions of home appliances, computers, and mobile phones were all electronic waste. Therefore, what Ishii Razajima said was indeed a problem that should be paid attention to. Perhaps in the future, there would be all kinds of unexpected bacterial infections and viruses, turning human society into an abyss of suffering. Ishii Razajima was a smart man. He extracted all the possible sources of bacterial infection that he thought were most likely to harm humans and animals. He wanted to conduct experiments on human bodies to see how much these things would affect humans. If it could cause mutation in humans, or cause great harm or change to humans, he would extract the blood of the infected for analysis, and then find a way to cultivate a vaccine. What Ishii Razajima wanted to do was to cultivate these vaccines for the future generations of the Japanese. When such a day came, the future generations of the Japanese would not be at a loss. As for the people of other countries, it was up to them. Whether they died or not had nothing to do with him. In any case, he hoped that the whole world would become hell. That way, the Japanese would become the savior of the world. As long as they had all the vaccines, they could dominate the world. Their dream of an empire on which the sun never sets could be realized again. They could really make the whole world never set. Su Yun knew very well that this was not an exaggeration. Why did the United States always look for planets in space? Why did they explore the universe in all kinds of ways? Because they knew too well that sooner or later, the Earth would be destroyed because of the burden. It could even be said that people had predicted this day 100 years ago. The serious overdraft of the Earth was something that even elementary school students could understand. People dared to do anything for benefits. They never thought about the long-term future. They only thought about whether they would live a good life in this life. It could even be said that it depended on whether they could live a good life in the present. In terms of water resources alone, although most of the Earth was covered by a beautiful blue ocean when seen from space, in fact, there were not many water resources on Earth. 70% of the Earth's surface was indeed covered by water, but that was really only a thin layer that could not be thinner. All the water on Earth could only form a bubble about 1,384 kilometers in diameter if all the water on Earth were gathered together. And 96.5% of this bubble belonged to the ocean. The remaining water included clouds and water vapor in the atmosphere, rivers, lakes, ice sheets, ice valleys, and even the water in the bodies of all living creatures. Only 3.5% was made up of water. This was not a figure made up randomly. It was the result of the survey by the United States Geological Survey. It could be said to be a very authoritative figure. Of course, some people would say that this was all surface water, and that there was a lot of water under our feet. That's right, these underground water resources were something that people relied on for survival. But now, how many companies and black-hearted bosses of companies were destroying and polluting water resources for their own selfish interests? These people were not afraid of the environmental fines at all. In fact, their actions were more hateful than the criminals. They were committing crimes against all of humanity. They deserved to die. In these years, people only noticed the smog, but they did not know that the water pollution in Huaxia was far worse than the smog. More and more people were giving up on tap water and eating mineral water that they bought themselves, purified water. The city's tap water only had the function of flushing toilets. Rivers, and everything was polluted. Huaxia had reached this point today. First, the overall economic and social development level was low, and the social management level was low. Second, some so-called entrepreneurs had low moral standards. On average, in developed countries, there was a sewage treatment plant for every 10,000 people to treat the sewage produced by people every day. Until today, there was not a single city in Huaxia that could treat 100% of the sewage. Huaxia's pollution treatment technology was backward, but if it was strictly enforced, it could still be useful. But after so many years, there were many companies that secretly discharged sewage. How many companies strictly enforced environmental protection laws? It was believed that no one had confidence. Because once the pollution treatment facilities were started, there were costs, so some black-hearted entrepreneurs often discharged sewage secretly. There were even companies that discharged sewage into deep wells. They were completely heartless. Could these things be treated? Of course they could. It was a pity that in the Environmental Protection Bureau of any city in Huaxia, there were some people who did nothing. Moreover, these people's families, relatives, and friends were often inextricably linked to these polluting companies. Sooner or later, Huaxia would really become one of the first countries on Earth to experience a crisis. When the day came when the virus and bacteria really spread, it would be too late for people to regret. Although Ishii Nakajima was perverted, he had long realized this. Because the Japanese were too close to Huaxia, once such a crisis broke out, they were very likely to be affected. That was why he came out so early to think of a way to develop a vaccine. Ishii Nakajima wanted to use Huaxia as an experiment because the Japanese system was closer to Huaxia's. After all, the Japanese were the descendants of Huaxia. They were all scum. Only the vaccine developed by Huaxia could better solve the problem of the Japanese. That was Ishii Nakajima's idea. Although this Japanese was despicable, people had to admit that he loved his country and the descendants of his country. And in this regard, the companies that kept discharging sewage in Huaxia and the scumbags who kept destroying the environment to fill their own pockets were even more disgusting than Ishii Nakajima. Ishii Nakajima was destroying other countries for the sake of his own descendants. And those scumbags? They were destroying the entire country, or even the entire Earth's environment, for their own sons. They only thought that the price of a sewage system was enough to buy a sports car for their family, but they did not think that the price of a sewage system could save many years of life on Earth. Let's begin. Use your contribution to contribute to the entire human race. Ishii Nakajima had already prepared the syringe in his hand. Chapter 2476. What are you going to inject into me? At the very least, you have to let me know what these things are. Otherwise, I won't cooperate. Su Yun said, if you want to communicate with me, tell me what I should know. Only then will I be willing to cooperate. Ishii Rasashima smiled. Is that so? As long as you are willing to cooperate with me, no matter what your request is, I can solve it for you. Su Yun tried to sound as stable as possible. Okay, then tell me what you are doing all this for. Then, I will try my best to cooperate with whatever you do to me. I can tell you whatever you want me to feel, and I can tell you. No problem. What I am going to inject into you now is a virus similar to Ebola. I personally made it according to the ratio of the Ebola virus. Ishii Rasashima said, because I made it according to the ratio of 1 to 100, it will be 100 times less powerful than the Ebola virus, so it won't hurt people so quickly. This way, I can analyze the changes in the genetic reaction in your body and conduct a vaccine injection experiment. Ebola. Su Yun was, after all, a prisoner on death row in disguise. He did not know much. What is that? It is a virus that can mutate people. Ishii Rasashima tried to convince Su Yun with lies. This virus will only mutate people, it will not kill them. How do I explain it to you? It will live in another way. What does that mean? Su Yun thought to himself, this old bastard is really lying through his teeth. The Ebola virus can turn people into the living dead. How can they live? Ishii Rasashima took a deep breath. Yes, you will not die. You will still be alive. Don't worry. Even if you mutate, I can turn you back to a normal person. Don't worry. I need you to tell me how you feel in detail. Is that okay? Su Yun glanced at the other syringes in Ishii Rasashima's box and said, What are those in your box? Are they all for me to try? Of course, it's all for you. Ishii Shushima smiled. When you carry Ebola over, you can make a choice of your own free will. As long as you promise to cooperate with me to complete an experiment, I'll transfer $1 million to your family. Do you think that's a good price? As a person with a stain on his life, it would be very difficult for him to find a job after he went out. He was afraid that he could only do some simple small business to make a living. If he wanted to rely on earning money to live a normal life, it would be impossible for him to buy a house or a car. Therefore, 1 million was absolutely unimaginable for a death row inmate. At least let me know what they are. Otherwise, how would I dare to agree? Su Yun said. Of course I can let you know. Ishii Rasashima said, These are not as powerful as Ebola, so I believe you will agree. Hey. As he spoke, Ishii Rasashima took out a syringe filled with a dark red liquid. This is extracted from patients with evolutionary muscle ossification. Some patients have a hard time healing after the wounds on their bodies, and they will gradually turn into stone. This is evolutionary muscle ossification. Turn into stone. Su Yun was stunned. That sounded scary. Generally speaking, the body of this type of patient has poor self-healing mechanisms. When the body is injured, it is easy to cause ossification of the muscles, tendons, and ligaments. When people with this disease are cured, surgery will lead to additional bone growth. Usually, patients with evolutionary muscle ossification can only live for 10 years, and eventually, their bodies will have ossification on a large scale. Ishii Rasashima said, And I believe that my vaccine can completely eradicate this disease, so don't worry. After I inject you with the vaccine, I will inject you with the virus source for evolutionary muscle ossification. You may not have any problems at all. Su Yun asked about another syringe with a light-colored liquid. What about this? Thorny tumor virus. Ishii Rasashima said, This infection, the tumor will spread throughout the body, and it will grow again after being removed. This is called verrucous epidermal dysplasia. It is a genetic skin disease. This skin disease will spread throughout the body and go out of control. Have you heard of the tree people in Indonesia? Something similar to tree bark grows on their bodies. Even if all of it is removed, it will still grow back. Su Yun couldn't help but shudder. The things that this guy was researching were truly perverted. Don't worry, I have developed vaccines for all these things. I have tested them on animals, and they are all effective. It's just that there is no one to test it on. Ishii Rasashima said, You will be fine. Trust me, I will make sure you are fine. You just have to try it on me, and you will get 1 million for each. 1 million. Who will give it to me? The country will give it to me? Su Yun asked. Of course. Ishii Rasashima said, The country will give it to you. Su Yun shook his head. What if they don't give it to me? Will you give it to me? I don't believe the country will give it to me. I am a death row prisoner. It is unbelievable that I can be spared. Don't worry, it will, Ishii Rasashima said. Then can you guarantee that all your vaccines can solve the problem of your virus? Su Yun asked again. Ishii Rasashima still nodded patiently. I guarantee that it can be solved. It will definitely be solved. Then why don't you experiment on it yourself? Su Yun said, 1 million. 1 is 1 million. There are so many things in your box. It is enough for you to earn hundreds of millions. Why are you giving it to me? Ishii Rasashima smiled. I am not after money, I am after science. So, I will give you the money. There are too many people in the world who are after money. Why not let them pursue it? Why give the chance to me, a death row prisoner? Su Yun said, No, I can't believe you. You seem to be talking too much. Ishii Rasashima had lost his patience. He looked at Su Yun coldly. Do you think you have a choice? You are already here. What's the difference between cooperating and not cooperating? Cooperating will only give you more benefits. Not cooperating will only cause you more pain. Do you understand? Su Yun said, What you are doing is no different from Unit 731 during the war of aggression against China. Pervert. You are no different from those beasts. Shut up. Ishii Rasashima roared. Let me tell you, Unit 731 is a heroic unit. Today, I will let you know that for the advancement of science, there must be sacrifices. This is inevitable. Perhaps Ishii Rasashima was agitated when he mentioned Unit 731. In a fit of anger, he raised his hand and stabbed the virus syringe at Su Yun. Su Yun, who had been confined to the test bed, suddenly sat up. He grabbed Ishii Rasashima's wrist and pushed him in the opposite direction. The virus syringe was directly injected into Ishii Rasashima's body. Su Yun pushed him lightly. Ishii Rasashima sat on the ground in horror. Then, he found the vaccine he had developed and injected it into his body. Ishii Rasashima didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know at all. All of this was unknown. The unknown horror was actually so serious. Su Yun looked at Ishii Rasashima's twisted expression. That expression of pain and despair really made people feel an indescribable pain. You are really a lunatic. Why did you want to use people for experiments? Su Yun said, Now you know this feeling? Is it better to die than to live? Who are you? How can you break free? Ishii Rasashima sat on the ground with a horrified expression. Su Yun pulled off the mask on his face. Ishii Rasashima, do you think you hid your identity very well? You didn't expect us to see through you, right? Hee. I believe that with your understanding of Mr. Gao, you should have done a detailed research. You must know who I am. Of course, Ishii Rasashima recognized him at a glance. In Gao Mingwei's information, there was indeed detailed information and photos of Su Yun, the leader of the Dragon Brigade and the Dragon Fury team, a young and promising Special Forces soldier who once protected Gao Mingwei. No wonder Ishii Rasashima hadn't seen Su Yun since he came here. It turned out that this was a huge trap. No. You must have made a mistake. I am Gao Mingwei. What is this Ishii Rasashima you are talking about? I don't know at all. Ishii Rasashima said, Su Yun, you must have made a mistake. You must have been used. You will regret doing this. Hurry up and think of a way to save me. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.